closer to your doorstep. I was a I was on my side. Ìgbéde lárugẹ nílẹ̀ ojú àwọn àwa gangan ni bàbá. KOIKIMEDIA, KOIKIMEDIA, KOIKIMEDIA. We bring you one closer to your doorstep. They never sabi wetin we carry for her. Until they come closer before them go sabi. I said they never know wetin we carry for body. Until they come closer before them go sabi. Ọ̀kìn lọ lọ́jà ẹyẹ ìrìnwó ló lọ́jọ́. Ẹyẹ tó lórí kòtò bí àdó ọ̀pọ̀ ìtẹ̀lẹ́nu. Ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ilẹ̀ bàbá wa. Ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìlú bàbá wa. Ká jùmọ̀ sowọ́pọ̀ ká lè gbódúdú àga. Wọ́n dúdú ọkọ̀ máa lè gbé wá. Ọmọ Odùduwà ṣe kiri. Ẹ dìde fún ẹ̀tọ́ adúláwọ̀. Ká lè jọ jùmọ̀ gbé. Ilẹ̀ ilé rí. Àwa lè gba ògo ilé wa. Ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká lè jọ gbàdé. Ká lè gbàdé adé adúláwọ̀. Àwa ni ìmọ̀lẹ̀ tí ó tàn káàkiri. Ìyàwó Odùduwà ni wá. KOIKIMEDIA, àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ. Ọgbọ́dọ̀ owó tí wọ́n wà ní. Àṣà ẹgbẹ́ kúndú ọjà wà láyé kúkú ayé jẹ. Ọgbọ́dọ̀ owó tí wọ́n wà ní. À ń gbé tó lárugẹ, à ń gbàsà lárugẹ. Ọgbọ́dọ̀ owó tí wọ́n wà ní. News and sports ẹ máa rí gbọ́. Ọgbọ́dọ̀ owó tí wọ́n wà ní. Ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ ni ló ní kí n máa gé dandan. KOIKIMEDIA ọ̀rọ̀ lágbájú mọ̀ mi. Máa bá ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ. Ọmọ Yorùbá ni ẹ, ọmọ Yorùbá tata o. À ń gbádùn rẹ̀, ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ ni. Ṣé ìlọ máa fi di ọ̀bẹ mọ́lẹ̀? Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa ń dé. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa wọ̀ o. Igbó máa wọ̀ dájọ́jì ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọ. Àjòjì tó bá wọ bẹ̀ á tẹ̀lé ní bọ́ra. Ẹ̀yin lọ máa náwó kóyìnbó tó dé. Ìgbà tó yìnbó dé o. Mo nà dẹ́kun pọ̀ sí o. KOIKIMEDIA sáwà ní bàbá. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. Àtàntọ́ àtúnpèrè gidi. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. Àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ jẹ́ ká jọgbọ́n o. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. Àtúnjà fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. Ọmọ Oòduà ni wá o. Tọkàntọkàn. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. Ikú tó ṣe bí lébi òsì àdìmú bàbá yọ. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. We bring you one closer to your doorstep. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. Afẹ́fẹ́ tó fẹ́ òun tó kàn yòókù lára ni. KOIKIMEDIA àwọn ní bàbá. Àpèrè gèdè.
Wow. KOIKIMEDIA, we're bringing the.
Ọjọ́ òní, ọjọ́ tó lápẹ̀rẹ̀ gidi gan-an ni fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá dàda. Ẹ ò rí ní ọmọ aléyàmọ́ ọba ti kú ọ̀tá ìbá yọ ọ́. Wọ́n ní alákọ̀ọ́lé ọmọ ti lọ. Wò ó, èyí tí wọ́n rò yí ẹ̀ olúwo ọba ló kúkú ṣe. Sunday ọmọ aléyàmọ́ Ìgbòho ṣàṣẹ́bẹ̀ lọ wà. Ọ̀já máa dúpẹ́ lódùmarè ọba òkúrò. Ṣé ọba ti kú ìmọ́jọ́ òní ó tó pé gbọ́ kí lọ fẹ́ wá láàrin àwọn ọmọ dárí mú gan? Tàbí tó ọba ti dàbí bí ọmọ láàrin ìfẹ́ kí lọ máa ṣẹ̀dá òfin ìrọ. Ọjọ́ máa dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ alágbẹ̀dẹ àyànmọ́ ọba tó fi ọ́ dára tó dùn. Ọmọ Adéyẹmọ ò ìwọ náà kọ́ Olódùmarè ọba ní bí ọlá lùgẹ́. Sunday o. Máa gbọ́ àwọn òdì gbogbo olùgbọ́n máa Adéyẹmọ ò dé wọn mọ́lẹ̀ pátápátá. káwọn ò lè ní mọ́ ó ti kó wọn láyà jẹ́ kó ò lè sókè wọ́n ṣẹ̀rù bà wọ́n ọjà wọn láyà wọn ò lè ní fín mọ́ ó ti fi òkúdú lọ́kọ́ ìgbọ́ ooru ní èyẹ dànù. ọmọ aléyàmọ́ káwọn bá tiẹ̀ ọmọ ọpọlọ ogun ọmọ àlè ìwọ náà bí bàbá dojú tí àṣìlù bí àbáṣe tí ẹ jẹ́ àfọ kí ní bẹ nínú ọ̀gá ọmọ aléyàmọ́ ti dùn mọ̀wúrú bí ọ̀pani kọ́ pani bí ọ̀pá ní pani kó yé dùn mọ̀wúrú Sunday ọmọ aléyàmọ́ ó ti di bí àná yìí yé ẹjẹ́ ọmọdé ọmọ ewé kókò tábà lè jẹ́ ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀ tó bá fẹ́ fọ̀yà kó máa fọ̀yà gbèrègbèrè sàǹgbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ máa fọ́ọ̀kù ẹni bá wọ pé ọmọ akéyẹmọ́ ti di àná yìí ọmọ akéyẹmọ́ ìgbé òòṣà yé orí ìyá pé ọmọ Yorùbá àtàtà ọmọ ọkọ ní ọ̀hún ṣéwù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọmọ ọkọ ṣe ìwọ lọ padà mbàrí nípa ìsìn Sunday ọmọ akéyẹmọ́ ọ padà mbàrí nípa ìsìn ọkọ abúlé nípa ọ̀yà onítọ̀ọmọ Sunday Igboho òòṣà ọ̀dà bàbá rẹ lọ òròdú ọmọ pẹ̀lá ọlẹ́nílé mo sùn lẹ́ẹ̀kan ọmọ àjàtẹ̀ yẹn kìí kí ní àbàbà rẹ mo dẹ́gbù ọ̀dà àyè òde wọ́n ní méjì báyìí rẹ̀ ta àwọn méjì báyìí rẹ̀ àgbẹ̀dà yìí ó di méjì báyìí gbẹ̀lélógún ó kan ní àárọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ní kókó ilé wọn àgbàdà nínú bí àwọn rẹ̀ ọmọ tó lóko ní ìṣòwò ọ̀dùsọ̀ lóko ní sí ìgbàlẹ̀ ọmọ adéyẹ mọ̀ Sunday Igboho sàmà ogun ní nánilógún ogun ló ní ilé àárọ̀ ogun ni wọ́n fi jagun ìgbẹ́wọ́n jẹ́ ogun òyìn ẹjẹ́ àmẹ́ta wọn lóògùn ọ̀nà Sunday ọmọ Adéyẹmọ Ìgbòho Òòṣà ló ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá gbòmìnira dandan ni wọ́n wá gbọ́ o ìlànà lọ́dùnmọ́ rẹ̀ ni ọmọ ìlú ọmọ Adéyẹmọ dákúnmọ́ làwọn oníṣẹ́ ẹbí ẹ̀tọ́ kálukú mọ̀ fi dùn wọ́n orí kálukú ló gbé ẹ̀dẹ́kò tó dùn wọ́n á máa gbọ́ o gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tàtà ẹni tó wá lóye ẹja fọwọ́pọ̀ agbè ẹni tó wá fi ṣe agbè lárugẹ gidi ni ẹ̀mí jù wọ́n wọn ò dùn ẹjọ́ òròdù lọ sí ìbá méjì kọ́ ẹni tó wá fi ṣẹ́rán ọ̀gẹ́tọ̀ sí ẹni tó fi àwọn Sunday ọmọ Adéyẹmọ ìpínlẹ̀ tiwa akọni tiwa.
Wow. It is the Wednesday edition. My name is Alami Koiki. Shout out to Prophet Adeyemi Olarewaju Moki Mufitowotowoki Mama Ki by Pelu Star Radio UK. It is the last Wednesday of the month of November. It's going to be hot in the studio. I welcome you as you're joining us. I hope you can hear me loud and clear back as you're watching us from different parts of the globe. My name is Alami Koiki. This is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Mo kí àbúrò mi dáadáa ìmọ́lẹ̀ Yorùbá mo ní káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. We will be speaking Yoruba later, but as you all know, this is an international platform. That means that we are communicating with different world. We're communicating with people around the globe. As you're joining us, what you can do to me is just let somebody know that we are back again on the Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. My name is Alami Koiki. And first and foremost, it is 1800 hours in London. That means it is 6 p.m. local time here. Easy, all the way in Miami. This is for you. As I always say, in America, in Nigeria, around the world, it's a very beautiful day. It is cold outside. Do not worry about my sleeveless because this is a special outfit. And when I put something like this on, I feel very, very happy. I am an happy person, and I hope that the quote for today says, if you knew if you knew that your time left on the earth was very, very short, if you know that you are dying tomorrow, if you know that this is going to be the last time that you will exist as someone, what will you do in a different direction? A lot of us are praying that we should die and we should go to heaven for those that believe, because not everybody believes in heaven. But if you are one person watching it tonight, whether in Nigeria, whether in Africa, whether in Sierra Leone, whether in Portugal, whether in Dubai, if you know that your time on the earth was very, very short, sometimes people are told that you're going to be dying in the next couple of weeks. And I'm not joking, and they will die. Because the scientists have been able to tell us that there are some illness that might lead to the death of individuals, chronic disease. We pray for nothing of such. But the code for the day to start the program on the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
The best radio show.
What again?
The best radio show.
It is the best radio show in London. It is the evening. I say shout out to my beautiful mother. Shout out to Igbowosha. Shout out to every one of you out there. And I say good evening and welcome. A good news I'll be sharing with you during the Yoruba Nation conversation. As we continue to monitor what is happening in Yoruba land, we'll be talking about the budget, President BOLA Ahmed TINUBU budget. We are borrowing again. Nigeria continue to borrow. A country that loves to borrow. The question is, each time we borrow, are we using it for the right thing, or are we just borrowing for the borrowing's sake? All these will be discussed, but I would like to appreciate my producer, Mr. Frank David and Mr. Archie, and all the presenters on the Star Radio UK. I would like to appreciate those of you that have joined us on the sister broadcast. I welcome you on the Mix LR. I say shout out to you, Ogumola Abiodun. Money Igbakigba Tibati Wasile Ajoma Lo Jamala Ibadoni. This is again. I beg, make una turn it up because Nigeria, they borrow money, borrow. Borrow. Olanrewaju Emmanuel, shout out to you. As I say, if you do not put a comment out, I do not know you're there. Nuruddin, good evening to you. Oladino, good evening to you. TJ Baba, I say, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And I say, this is for TJ Baba. It is very warm inside here. Please do not dress like this outside because it is no longer summertime. We are now in winter. Shout out to those of you in Turkey. Shout out to those of you in Cyprus. Shout out to those of you on the Twitter. Oh, hey, Biafra. We hope that the next month will be a good one for Nnamdi Kanu. Shout out to you, Mrs. Benisola 431 on the TikTok. We are back on the TikTok. Where should we start from? Should I play to you this? Maybe we should start with this one, because the budget for 2024 is out. Shout out to my producer, Mr. Archie, that is working very hard, making sure that Niger Voices comes on air every Wednesday. Let's start with this from President BOLA Ahmed TINUBU.
The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not.
Wow! Che! Wahala deo. President BOLA TINUBU said there's no other way. But it seems that the budget, Kenny Ganil, shout out to you in Libya, shout out to you on the backup channel. Bishop Adesina, I might speak to you. Make sure your phone is available because we need to discuss this BOLA TINUBU's budget. Nigeria is borrowing again. We are borrowing, borrow. I think we should listen to that one more time. This is from President BOLA Ahmed TINUBU.
The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not.
Baba Bola Tinubu, there is no other way. Is there another way for Yoruba nation? Is there another way for Biafra? It is the right, and that right will be respected. Tony B, good evening to you. Good evening to our Baba, a grandfather, a father that says, the country dies. He's talking about Nigeria. Mama Fitawotawa King Baba Boye. If you're joining for the first time, you don't know how we do it. We are here till 8:30 p.m. local time in London. It's going to be hot in here. It's going to be interesting. There will be a lot of discussion. I'll be speaking to Bishop Adesina to tell us a little bit about BOLA TINUBU's budget. We are borrowing money again. Is it for the interest of Nigerians? President BOLA TINUBU is on his way to Dubai for the COP28. I'll be telling you that. Bishop Adesina said Nigeria is finished. Nigerian government now borrow to fund its national budget. What then is the essence of Nigeria existence? Disintegrate the component unit and save the generation from a very big problem. Tony B, good evening to you. If you're watching it for the first time, Aziz Sikiru, shout out to you. Good evening, Mr. David Adegoke. I say shout out to you, Imole Yoruba, Saeed Jima, good evening to you. Keep it going. You need to share the program. If you don't share it, nobody knows. Good evening all the way in Italy. I love Italy. The spaghetti there is a place I would love to visit in the new year. I have a lot of places I want to visit in the new year, but how do I fund it is the question. How do I fund it? Maybe somebody's going to help. We were down at the COVID-19 UK inquiry, and it was quite interesting when I got there because I was able to see and feel how many of you were affected during the COVID. I remember traveling back to London, and I was stopped at the Heathrow airport, and the reason for that is because I was told that I traveled. I'm not going to tell you which part of the country I was traveling from and which side I was going from. We don't share everything with you, especially people like us. We have to be very, very careful because that means that if I tell you, maybe next time you're going to wait for me at that airport. But I remember returning back to London, and I was told that, Mr. Koiki, we will have to quarantine you. And I said, why? He says, well, you've actually traveled through a different country that was on the red list. And today, so much went ahead, as there's a lot of individuals that have been coming. We're expecting, the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, sometime next week. And we hope to be at the COVID inquiry again next week, the Star Radio UK team. And then we'll be telling you a little bit more. But today we had, Java, the secretary, the chancellor, and at about 2 p.m. after I left, we also had Matt Acknock. On Monday, we had Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, and I hope to give you a sneak view of Chad later on tonight, so make sure you stay tuned. The question is, can we say that we need a lot of inquiry in Nigeria? We need so many inquiries because a lot of things have gone wrong. We need to find out who killed Dele Giwa. We need to find out what happened to Fela Kuti's house. We also need to find out what happened to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's residence when it was attacked by the federal government of the former President Muhammadu Buhari. We need a lot of inquiries. We need to find out what is going on in Nigeria, corruption. Also, we need to find out what happened and what led to the invasion and the assassination attempt on the lives of Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho on the 1st of July 2021. Once again, I say,
This is Star Radio.
if this time will be your first time when you go join me, I say good evening and welcome. It is called the and we say, and we can say one more time. I say make una loud and well. Moki Grandma Felicia Ajagbe, and I say good evening to once again every one of you that have joined us. Shout out to my family, shout out to my wife, shout out to my mother, shout out to Professor Banja Kitoye, and let's start from there. I think we should listen first to President BOLA TINUBU. It was actually at the National Assembly at about 11:05 presenting the budget, the 2024 budget. But do you know that Nigeria will have to also, what we can say, borrow? We need to now borrow to be able to do our own budget. Nigeria do not have any money anymore. Once again, I'm asking. Somebody say inquiry me. Is your colonial master European that should conduct the inquiry? Okay, no problem. As long as you don't want inquiry, in UK, we do a lot of inquiry and we find out what happened so that we can be able to learn from that. So if Nigerians say they don't want inquiry, no problem. But one thing is, Nigeria will completely disintegrate at the appropriate time. But many Nigerians are living in denial. A country that cannot fund its budget is a failure. A country that continues to borrow. For 63 years, we failed to save money. We saved money, but those money were corrupt money that eventually left Nigeria to other countries around the world. Abacha stole so much money that every time we need money, we go to Abacha's grave and say, please tell us where the money is. $5 billion of Nigerian revenue from Nigerian money has been taken back. Let's listen to Bola Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is currently en route to Dubai for, or should we say United Arab Emirates, for what we call the COP98. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's listen to what they call, they call him Agbado. I'm not sure why they decided to call Bola Tinubu Agbado. Agbado president. Recruit 50 million. What are they going to eat? Cassava and Agbado. He is now the president. Buhari is no longer the president. The question we should ask Bola Tinubu, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is, are we sure that they will be able to manage the affairs of Nigeria for the next 4 years as the mandate says in Milokon? Let's listen to Bola Tinubu, the president, when he spoke today at the National Assembly. Once again, this is
Star Radio UK.
This is again?
This is Star Radio UK.
And listen to Bola Tinubu.
Closely with us to ensure that the deliberations on the 2024 budget are thorough but also concluded with reasonable dispatch. Our goal is for the Appropriation Act to come to effect on the 1st of January 2024. I trust you will do it. It is by now a matter of recorded history that my first physical intervention as president of this great nation was to end the fuel subsidy regime, which has proven to be so harmful to the overall health of our national economy. The second was to negotiate and subsequently present a supplementary budget to enable my government to fund the items needed to restore macroeconomic stability and mitigate the harsh impact of subsidy removal. The third was to secure a second supplementary budget, this time to enable us to keep our promises to promote national security, invest in infrastructure, and provide much needed support to the most vulnerable households in our society.
Very, very key point. Provide for the household that are struggling. Many Nigerians are today in abject poverty. Abject poverty. Princess Awoniyi Adebimpe Timothy Daruko. I say good evening to you. Akinola Egbomi Daudu Olarewaju say, we'll go pay the money back. Only borrow we hear, but we don't see what they use the money for. Àwọn alálẹ̀ àgbè wá o. Ijaya, this is for you, sir. Once again, this is a special one for every single one of you. If you're joining us for the very first time on the Star Radio,
This is Star Radio UK.
I say, let's go back again and listen to President Bola Tinubu. 15 minutes past. Like I say, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. The daily quote for today says, and I quote, if you knew that your time left on earth was short, what would you do with it? Kí ló máa ṣe pẹ̀lú ayé tó kù nígbà tó bá sọ fún ẹ pé bí alọ́túnla àbí lọ́la àbí ní oṣù kan tó ń bọ̀ ẹ̀mí máa lọ láre. Do something in that direction today. What will you do? I know what I would do. I will serve the Yoruba people and I will continue to serve humanity. The Yoruba people wants to exit Nigeria. It is our right, and the government of Bola Tinubu must sit down and negotiate with us. The Biafra wants to go. Anyway, we don't like the Igbos. I'm sorry to say, it is just a fact. The 300 ethnic groups are finding it difficult to live side by side. It is time now for what we call a roundtable discussion and a total dissolution of Nigeria. But before Nigeria dissolution comes through, Bola Tinubu continue to borrow to fund the budget. Let's listen to it again.
In my cabinet and reflecting on the unique challenges facing us, I invited the ministers to imagine that we are attempting to draw water from a dry well. Today, I stand before you to present our budget of renewed hope.
Let me pause that again. I want us to take note. Omodamilare, good evening to you. Ifatomi Akindele George. I love that name. Ifa. Àwa la nífá, and we must love it, we must respect it, we must appreciate it, just as we love the Christian, just like we love the Islam, just like we love the Judaism, the Hindu. Remember that you should not fight for religion. Religion is just something between you and your creator. But the Yoruba has something that was given to us by our forefathers before the colonial empire decided to destroy who we are. Today, if somebody say, Ifani Moishe, please appreciate it. Does not mean that the Christian will not be part of the Yoruba. Does not mean the Muslim will not be part of both. But the present Nigeria today has been divided in ethnic line. And as we say, 12 states in Nigeria are practicing Sharia law. This is again
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Leon Consimoni.
This is Star Radio UK.
I say good evening to Tony Ages.
This is Star Radio UK.
My name again is Olayomi Koiki. And let's go back again and listen to President Bola TINUBU. Shout out to you. And I always say the Omoluabi apparel is something that you should think of. When you look at me like this, I look very good. It's because Omoluabi apparel say, Emini Baba Yoruba, you are the one that represent the Yoruba. Anytime I go out, do you know that I met at least 2 people at the COVID-19 inquiry today? 2 Nigerians, 2 Yorubas doing security. There's nothing wrong in that. One said to me, Mr. Koiki, I was crying. What about you? Are you thinking that Nigeria will work, especially with Emilokon, Agbado? If you say this in Nigeria, you are in problem, or DSS will come after you, so be careful. This is Koiki on the Star Radio UK, and if you're joining me for the very first time, I welcome you once again. Baba mi boy is like money in, money out. Kalo politician. Baba kí ló ń pè ní kalo, because some of us, we've left Nigeria too long. We cannot understand the meaning of kalo. Can you help me to translate that to English? Once again, I say good evening to those of you that are watching us on the TikTok. Once again, shout out to any of you that are joining us in the northern part of Nigeria. But tonight, it's all about Nigeria federal government of President Bola TINUBU borrowed, or should I say, the rubber stamp Senate that is going to allow that to happen. But let's go back again and listen to this presentation. This is a conversation that the president had before he jet out. I remember the president throwing it like that. Shout out to those of you all the way in Woolwich. Shout out to my family that have just arrived. They're settling down somewhere in the southeast. I'm not going to tell you where. It is going to cost £1,900 for a 3-bedroom flat. London is becoming expensive. What is going on? It is no longer cheap to live in London. Lekon Ali, shout out to you. To my friend in Manchester doing bread, Mamani Oremi Onibuedi. Good evening to you and welcome once again to those of you that have joined us from different parts of the globe.
Than ever before in cementing macroeconomic stability.
All this grammar, macroeconomy. Immediately after TINUBU speaks, we need to go straight to Lagos because we have our money man. I'm not talking about the money man that speaks to Archie during the time, but we have our own analyst, the best analyst of our time. I remember Bishop Adesina say, hey, Naira is going down. It is literally going down. How much is the Naira to the dollar today? These are not specimens. These are original money. How much is the Naira to the dollar? Somebody say gambling is called kalo. Oh, thank you, Mr. Duet. I am now being told that kalo is called gambling. Please do not gamble. I saw a video from Port Harcourt where they have actually gambled everything. A man was out there, a big man, a family man, sitting on the floor. I think he must have lost money. Please, if you have to gamble, I'm not encouraging you to. Do not gamble with your wife's money. That one will be wahala. Let's go back to Bola TINUBU. President Bola TINUBU might have a good idea. He might want to bring, oh, no voice. Where is there no voice? Mrs. Taiwo Banuso said there's no voice. Gambling is tete. Okay, thank you so much. Somebody says, I have been in London for 17 years now. I have been in London for 25 years. I beg, you are not even up to 2 decades. You are already complaining. And as we always say, there are even people that are still traveling. I spoke to somebody before we went live, and he said to Mr. Koiki, wow, how do you know I just came back from Nigeria? So people are still traveling to Nigeria, but the question is, are Nigerians able to travel down here as well as they would love to? Let's go back to President Bola Tinubu.
Increasing capital spending and allocating
Capital spending, all this big grammar. I'm going to need Bishop Adesina to come and explain to me, because me, I don't understand all this big grammar. Capital spending, macroeconomy. I remember a late uncle of mine, Alhaji Kuku, may God bless his soul. Every time there's a budget, then before I traveled out of Nigeria in 1995, when I completed my secondary school, he would always say, oh yeah, explain what this budget means. I remember in phase 2, but now, as we are growing up in our 40, what does the budget mean to you as a Nigerian? If the government is saying that we are presenting a budget, Buhari presented this budget for 8 years. We now find out that Buhari literally collapsed the economy. Ayomi Kundami to say Nigerian Federal Republic of borrow many of the looted. Mamawa Remileku say, that means there's a problem. Is there a problem in Nigeria? Should we just accept that President Bola Tinubu is trying his best, or should we question that as well? Once again, good evening to you, my brother Ijaya, the voice of the Yoruba. And as at 7:30, I'll be telling you the good news from the Yoruba Nation self-determination. Professor Banja Akintoye spoke to us on Saturday. There are a few things I'm going to share with you. Once again, Mokiba Bawa Kennedy Salami, thank you so much. If you're watching me in Nigeria, if you're watching us in Europe, in Asia, like I always say, welcome to Star Radio UK.
This is Star Radio UK. In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
And let's go back again to President Bola Tinubu.
reflect the 8 priority areas of this administration. The budget we now present constitutes a foundation upon which we shall erect the future of this great nation.
Okay, I want us to hold on to that. Do you think that President Bola Tinubu, in his own government, should we be fair on him, saying that the future of Nigeria is bright? The future of Nigeria is okay. Let me manage the affairs for the next 4 years and let us transform Nigeria to the economic hub. He told us in Germany that investors will be coming to Nigeria. He told us that Nigeria will become a player in the economy of Africa and the Western European countries. But the problem is, we need to borrow to start with. Let me give you some of the headlines as we have it. According to Reuters, Nigeria plans to trim budget deficit to 3.9% of GDP next year. This is coming from Reuters headline as well. I'm also going to be telling you the full script later on, the full text rather, of what the President Bola Tinubu presented today. And according to the cable in Nigeria this afternoon, or rather this evening, Tinubu presented the first budget as a president. And likewise, is also prioritizing the economy, security, poverty. Poverty needs to be reduced. They will keep borrowing till the country is finished, and separately by fire, by force. We must separate by fire, by force. No going back. What about those Nigerians that say, you all that are shouting, break up Nigeria, can you please allow Tinubu to run the affairs of this country for God's sake? What should we tell them? They have the right, because I do not live in a in a military country. I live in a democratic that also has the freedom of speech. So if those that believe that Tinubu is doing something, we should keep quiet. For those of us that say Nigeria is not working, allow Tinubu to operate. This is his first budget. Well, we saw Buhari did the same thing for 8 years, but what came after that? Tinubu is talking about economy, security, poverty reduction. Do you think that President Bola Tinubu can reduce the poverty in the country? Maybe not all, but at least reduce it drastically. Triple DRS says Tinubu has nothing to offer. How do you know? Many Yoruba people will disagree with you. I've had some say to me that, Mr. Koiki, we know that you are a big supporter of the dissolution, disintegration, whatever you want to call it, of Nigeria. But please allow Tinubu to operate Nigeria, and let's see where it's taking us to. I don't know where Tinubu is taking us to, but let's go back again and listen to the final part of President Bola Tinubu.
Analyzing prevailing economic environment.
Okay, economic environment. How do we get an economic environment when we have Boko Haram terrorists operating in almost every part of Nigeria tonight? Can you travel from Chokoto to Lagos tonight and you arrive safely? Well, even the airline end up from Lagos to Asaba instead of going from Lagos to Abuja. And I'm not making this up. Please, I am not making this up. Bàbá mi Ọmọṣẹ́bí Kọ́láwọlé máa fi eléyìí kí yín pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa níbi tí a ti ń sọ pé ibi ìbá là ń pè ní.
This is Star Radio UK.
Màá wá fi tọ̀wọ̀tọ̀wọ̀ kí yín sà. My name be Olayomi Koiki, a self-determination campaigner. It is a right, and that right will be respected. But right now, Tinubu has presented his budget and is doing everything, according to him, to revive what we call the Titanic. I'm sure some of you know what is Titanic. Titanic is a ship that sank some years back and it fails to group up. Comrade Omoshebi says, well done and thanks for the good work of you always. Adetunji Adedeji, shout out to you. And once again, Princess Adebimpe Awoni Iyadada sọ pé abeg Koiki, Nigeria is sold already. Let's go back again.
The nation remains challenging both abroad and at home.
Well, challenges is there in UK as well, and we got to be honest. I mean, things are becoming expensive. My gas has gone up, my electricity has gone up, the cost of food has gone up, the cost of living has gone up. I have a family that just came to UK through the CSO with the family. It's going to cost them £1,900 a month. They do not have access to anything from the UK because they are here to work. And let me say this, CSO, yes. I do not do any visa. I beg, please do not call me after this program and say, Mr. Koiki, I heard that you're talking about CSO. This is how they got here. How they got here, I don't know. But now that they are here, it is my responsibility as the Yorubas, or as some of you that believe as Nigerians, to guide you. Please, if you are in the country for the first time, and this is coming through whatever routes that you're coming from, please do not be comparing yourself to some of us that have full resident permit. Your permit allows you to work in one sector, especially those of you that are traveling to UK from Japa, whether on education purpose. You will not be allowed to work more than 16 hours. Well, you have the preference to work different places. But if you're coming on the C, is it COS? Yes, COS. Thank you so much. Certificate of sponsorship. My sister, Rookie Baby. I love that name. Rookie Baby. I think I should give you something, Rookie Baby. Let me give you this one. Is that enough? I think one more time. Once again, shout out to my beautiful mom. City Boy TV said, I strongly believe in Yoruba Nation. This is for my mom, and I welcome her specially into the program. I think I should give her 3 busa. Don't be jealous, my sister, Rookie Baby. Yes, certificate of sponsorship. If you travel to UK on certificate of sponsorship, known as COS, you will not be able to go and find a job on the London Underground. Don't compare yourself to somebody that wants to work in the hospitality industry like myself. You have to stick to that industry, and please don't attempt to do crampy, corner. You are not allowed to have any recourse to public funding. Now you say you won't come UK. You must work. Let's go back again to Bola Tinubu, and then I'm going to connect straight to Bishop Adesina to explain all these things that Bola Tinubu talks about. But before then, I'll be telling you how much Bola Tinubu plans to borrow and how much it's going to cost us for the next budget. We're looking at about almost 27 trillion naira. That is a staggering amount of money. But when Omoshebi say Tinubu is just borrowing, is just blowing stories that the fools wants to hear. They all have nothing to offer after the masses. Our total separation is the best. Bola Tinubu says 27 trillion naira budget. Koiki, why are you complaining? With this budget, I can transform Nigeria. But first and foremost, I need to borrow the money. Let's go back again.
Despite lingering post-COVID supply.
Oh, I love that bit. COVID. I was at the COVID center today. A lot of journalists, a very busy time. We're expecting the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister to be at the COVID center, hopefully next week. I'll let you know tomorrow. And if that's going to be the case, I will return back again next week to capture on that. COVID-19. I remember I was affected. I was actually quarantined even though I never traveled to that country, but the UK government said, Mr. Koiki, you've traveled through the red zone. It was a big time. About 26,000 people died in UK for that alone. That is the reason why they're making that inquiry. Do we set up an inquiry for the 28,000 Yorubas that died during the former president Muhammadu Buhari? Should we set up inquiry for the genocide that took place at the southeast? Should we set up inquiry for how many people that were killed in the northeast, northwest, north south, or wherever on the south side as well? There must be a lot of inquiry to be set up in Nigeria so that we can be able to think and reflect on that. If you're watching me in Kenya, I say this is President Bola TINUBU speaking, and we have the last minute to listen to it now.
Armed conflict in various parts of the world and restrictive monetary policies in major economies, we expect global growth to hover around 3.0%.
Wow. So President Bola TINUBU expects a global growth. Before we speak to Bishop Additional in just about a few minutes, let me now give you a breakdown. Dizima 123 say what we need. What do we want? Yoruba nation. What do we want? Self-determination ASAP. Mr. Akinlade Oluwa Fumilola, thank you so much. My name is Olami Koiki. Sheung, thank you so much. I want to pronounce the other name, but the last time I did, you actually told me that it was not pronounced properly. So I will leave that alone, but I will just say thank you so much, Mr. Sheung, for joining us as well. We're going to speak to Bishop in just about a few minutes, but before we do that, let me try to capture what I would call, some of the text from the President TINUBU budget at the National Assembly. So this is how it goes. I'm going to be very fast about it. Thank you so much if you're joining me for the first time. This is the Star Radio UK. Every Wednesday, Nigeria Voices. We talk about Nigeria. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. I remember Showore sitting there during the campaign in 2019. I remember Fela Durotoye. Both of them were in this studio with me. We couldn't get Atiku, neither could we get TINUBU then. They were running away from us. But this time around, TINUBU is the president, and like I said, is currently en route to Dubai for the COP28. I'll be monitoring that, and I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. Once again, thank you so much for those of you that have joined us. We will not be staying too long on Olayomi Koiki on the Instagram. You might have to go on the KOIKIMEDIA where you'll be able to watch it. What is, to say Nigeria suffering for the unborn generation prosperity? Bola TINUBU philosophy. Let's read this. Delivered by His Excellency Ashiwaju the Jagaban. I'm just adding that to it. Jagaban. Bola Ahmed TINUBU, GCFR, President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, at the joint section of the National Assembly, Abuja, today, Wednesday, November 2029. Remember that today is the last Wednesday of the month of November. We are going into Christmas, and we are going into December in the next few days. This man said the president can't borrow our way out of poverty by borrowing more money to fund the future development. Why do we need to borrow to fund our budget? It's because Nigeria do not have any reserve. It is empty. Hey, Nigbogbo Osun State, Afa King. I think that's the only way I can call you. If I call you Amadu TV, nobody will know you. I remember visiting your place with Oloye Sunday Igboho. You are such a pleasant man. Mogbo program Jetta, and I was happy the way you continue to stick to the truth. We are not talking about Muslim and Christian and Ifeshe fighting. We should be talking about the poverty. I know Ebeyek is so Yoruba, but let us leave that till about 7:30. Right now, we are communicating to the international community and not just Yoruba people. So Taba so Yoruba nisi. Konjepe amo Yoruba so. Oshi wambel. Afa ki mo fi tọ̀wọ̀tọ̀wọ̀ kí ẹ káàbọ̀. Báyìí mo ṣe máa kí lórí ètò wa níbí báyìí. Níbo lẹ wà yìí? Ẹ bá mi gbé sókè kó gbọ́ ládùúgbò yín. Kò ní bàjẹ́ fún yín, Afa King. Thank you so much once again. So let me quickly read more about the text. We are talking about a big budget. But the router says Nigeria plans to trim the budget deficit. How much is President Bola TINUBU planning to borrow? According to the Premium Times, President Bola TINUBU is seeking the National Assembly to approve $8.6 billion. This one a big money. Oh. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebayo on the TikTok. 8.6 billion. That's about almost 100 million euro loan. Oh, no, $8.6 billion and another 100 million loan. Mr. TINUBU said the new loan request will be used to finance infrastructure. There is a lot of deficit in infrastructure. I remember traveling to Osun State to go and meet Amadu TV, known as Afa Akim. Afa Akim, Afa Akim, but nígbà tó lọ sí Mecca, mo rí pé ìwé láwà nìyẹn. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Ẹ máa ṣàlàyé fún mi àṣírí tó wà ńbẹ̀ o. Thank you so much. We love you so much. And again, eléyìí fún yín àtàwọn ìyàwó àtàwọn ọmọ yín. President Bola Tinubu plans to borrow $8.6 billion and another 100 million euro loan. The reason for that is to be able to work on the infrastructure and most importantly, agriculture. Mokiyami Olajumoke Ajoke TJ. President Tinubu said, look, there's a problem. Like I said, when we went to Osun State, the roads are very bad. Afa Akim, we have to repair his car almost every day because the road to his own house is not good. But Tinubu, the president says, and I quote, let me borrow $8.6 billion and another 100 million euro, and I'll be able to make sure that that money will be used for infrastructure purpose. Nobody's going to steal the money. Mighty 82, thank you so much for joining us. Busy man says it again. Or let me start with Mr. Kende, who say, we the Yorubas don't want one Nigeria again. No, one Nigeria is a scam. But what about those that say one Nigeria is still going to work? Somebody say you talk too much. Well, that is why they call it a journalist. Journalists must talk. Journalist is talking so that you can be able to know what is going on. If I don't talk, how do you know what is going on? Maybe you are not even aware that Nigeria is borrowing money. You are saying what is the way out. I'm also asking you, what is the way out? I love TikTok. Journalist's job is to talk. That is why they call it broadcasting. I met some students from the University College London when I was reporting this morning. They are there to capture something. So please, when you come on the program, this is not Gist Lover. This is not Linda Ikeji. This is an education platform called the Niger Voices. We are not joking here. So when you say we talk too much, I don't know what you mean by that. When you talk, it shows that you are not listening. I don't understand. Listen, and so that you can learn. Because this is a platform where you learn. We don't have to agree with each other. We don't have to disagree. But one thing is, Nigeria failed to work for the last 63 years. What is the way forward? Should we remain Nigeria where they keep borrowing money? All the loan that Buhari took, which one you use, they fix your house? Which one they fix Ota? And like Rotimi Amechi says, Nigerians don't react anyway. When they react, Mobado, and after they let everything go, I can understand it was due to the NSA. Many of you were killed. Some of you are still in the prison. This is again
Radio UK.
On the network called The Best Radio Show. So we are borrowing to be able to get things done. According to Tinubu, it needs that loan for infrastructure, also agriculture. Many of you are complaining about your health. In fact, at one chance in the country. But somebody is just saying to me that I talk too much. So when we are here educating Nigerians, you don't have to be a little bit like, again, there's a difference between a doctor, there's a difference between a journalist, and there's a difference between a street cleaner. I met one in central London. To be honest with you, a street cleaner in London is better than your senator because they are all corrupt. And I'll be telling you what Festus Keyamo said in the next few minutes about the former aviation minister that should be detained for lying to Nigeria that the Nigerian air would take me from London to Nigeria, only to give 5-year waiver, tax waiver to Ethiopian Airlines. How do you compete when you are a local airline? This is against Star Radio UK. So let's go back again at about 7 o'clock. I'm going to try and call Bishop Adesina to give us a full details of what His Excellency. We got to put His Excellency because he's still a president and we must just give him that respect. But for me, do I trust President Bola Tinubu? Total no. I don't trust him. I don't believe in his government and I don't think he can do anything different because it is still the same APC party that destroyed Nigeria, took it from PDP, same. What we need now is a roundtable discussion, pull down that 1999 constitution, and we can start from there. Anything less than that, just the play. So let's go into it. Ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 blah. In the furtherance of my scarred duties and obligation as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is my honor to be here today to present my administration 2024 budget proposal to this joint section of the 10th National Assembly. Remember that this same assembly wants to buy SUV. Afakim said that as well. Afakim said, no mind those lunatic. I want you to like Showere say, they give them 100 Naira MB. I can tell you in this studio, we are connected to many devices on one single router. Internet should be cheap in Nigeria, but the MTN, the Glo, ask yourself, are you getting good value for your money? So President Bola Tinubu went further to say, this moment is especially profound and significant to me because it is my first annual budgetary presentation to the National Assembly at about 27 trillion. So Tinubu Malo 27 trillion for this budget, but he's going to borrow $8.9 billion and another 100 million euro. It's a staggering amount of money, but the question is, would this money be used to fund the right project? Remember that last week we talked about the National Rail Corporation. Buhari borrowed money from the Chinese, but yet we are now seeing racketeering. Ticket. You buy a ticket through the back door. How do you fund that project? Don't you understand that that is a problem? Many of you are suffering today in languishing poverty because Buhari failed to tackle corruption. The former aviation minister, as we speak right now, should be in the detention center because he lied to us. But many Nigerians disagree with me. You love the corrupt politician. So let's go further on number 2. I might not be able to read everything because of the time constraint. He went further to say, distinguished senators and honorable members of the National Assembly, I commend your swift consideration and the passage of the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Bill. Remember that Tinubu went back to the Senate and requested for extra money. There's nothing wrong in that. Getting all this money, as long as 774 local government from Osun State to Kogi to Anambra to Katsina to Jigawa to Adamawa to wherever across the country, those 774 local government have access to the money. And many Nigerians are saying that we need a full autonomy for the local government. Do you agree with me? Do you think that we can get a full autonomy? Without a full autonomy, they play. But in UK, there was a breaking news today. Do you know that we also have a local government? We call it the London Borough of Nottingham, has literally declared bankrupt. And I'm thinking, how? What happened? Nottingham, like I said, actually declared bankrupt today. I'm trying to get the news out quickly. So it is not just, Nottingham City Council declared itself bankrupt. So it is not that because we are living in UK and we are saying that things do not go wrong in Europe. Things sometimes go very, very wrong. But the difference between here and there is that we would do inquiries, find out what happened, and we can learn from that. I am just shifting a little bit. The Nottingham City Council has declared itself effectively bankrupt, meaning it will stop all spending other than services it must provide by law. A recent report said that the Labour-run council was set for a 23 million overspending in the 2023-2024 financial year. It has been beset by the financial issues in recent years and was already being monitored by the government. So, there's not a problem here. This is a council outside London, in Nottingham. What it declared services give, even though they are declaring themselves as bankrupt. According to the law in UK, they still have to take care of certain things, especially the children. Well, it's basically those that are looking after in that constituency, in that borough. They will say, oh, we don't have any responsibility. I'm asking Nigerians today, what is the responsibility of your local government? Iṣẹ́ wo ni local government ń ṣe? All the money that has been given to them every month from the fake account in the last 8 years, can you tell me what has been done with it? This is why some of us are saying that if the country is too big, let us disintegrate it. Let us break it down into smaller units so that we can look after ourselves, so that many of you today, not everybody, that is not going to work. But Bola Tinubu is promising you something, 27 trillion naira budget. Sister Mamawa, rookie baby. Let's go further again. I'm just going to be jumping, so I'm not going to go into all the details, but you can check this out on the cable. Let's go number 3. I am confident that the National Assembly will continue to work closely with us. Definitely, what do you expect? It is called rubber stamp. Rubber stamp at the 9th Senate. Continue to stamp it for Buhari. Now we are told that Buhari bankrupt Nigeria. Where is all the money? Some of you need to start understanding that we don't have any hatred or any problem with any government, be it Buhari, be it TINUBU. What we are saying is that your life is no longer working as we want it to be. Your future is at stake. This shouldn't be happening in a country that has vast amount of resources. Many of you have gone to university. Many of you have been able to study something. How can somebody be calling me today and say, Mr. Koiki, mo ti kọ́ṣẹ́ bọ̀ mo ní tí ma fi gẹrun, mo ní the clipper. I mean, that should not be happening. Ó ti lọ kọ́ṣẹ́, kò wá ní clipper. So what is the essence of lọ kọ́ṣẹ́? When things like this happen in this country, there are some agencies, there are some grants that you will be given, sometimes not even monetary. Wọ́n máa fún ẹni pé kó lọ ra clipper yẹn, ò ní lè rówó yẹn gbà. Kódà àfi tó bá tún ta nìkan, tó bá dẹ̀ tún ta, that is your problem. But we are talking about many of you that have been able to study at Losi Technical School. You have done so many things. Sorry for those of you because I'm mixing the language of Yoruba in between. It's just something that is built in. So when we are saying these all the time, it's not Muki our Fatima, Good evening and welcome. So when we are here sitting down, please do not think that we do not like a government as it is right now. What we are saying is we want to question the government. We want to make sure that whatever they are saying, especially with budget is the reason why some of you need to study the budget, because this is the budget for your life. Remember that we are borrowing money to fund the budget. So if you're saying to me that I am talking too much, then that means that you are also a problem in the country. Pastor Adetokunbo Oshumofitoto Mofikinyi. Lenkonsi, good evening and welcome to Star Radio UK. The Daily Code says, and I quote, this is the last Wednesday before we go into the new year, or sorry, the new month rather. So by the time I'm coming next month, we'll be going into a December month. Baba Midele Muhammad. I don't have problem with the Hausa people. All I'm saying is that I want to have a country where there's freedom of speech and I can be able to be respected as a Yoruba man and speak my own language. The Daily Code says, and I quote, if you knew that your time left on earth was short, because we are told all the time that we are not going to be here forever. In the next 100 years, every single one of us mostly will be gone. If I add 100 to my years, as I see right now, I'll be about 140 or more. So again, do something in that. What will you do? With it. Are you going to do something in that direction today? What I am doing today is called humanitarian services. It's painful. We get abused. We get cursed. I was speaking to some very beautiful young, girls or women. I would say women. I said, what are you doing here? They said, we came to, to capture, we are from the University College of London. We are into media. And they were listening to what I was saying when I was speaking to Archie in the morning. And after I finished, I was talking about self-determination. So they were fascinated. They were interested about what I was talking about. And I told them about Oriolokun. And I told them about the reason why we want Yoruba nation. And when I told them that some Nigerians abuse and curse us, do you know what the girl said to me? Jesus. And right. Because a lot of you do not know that a lot of the diaspora love Nigeria, but Nigeria do not love any single one of us. Because of the time constraint, we're going to move swiftly again. Like I say, those of you on Olayomi Koiki, you will have to join us on the Koiki on the Instagram so that we can continue. All the way in Badagry, shout out to you, in Yewa, in every part. the money is for the citizen or for the scam. So budget is very, very important. Ibiyemi Odu Animi, all the way in Benin Republic, I say shout out, and this is the way I welcome you to the program. So let's go swiftly again. I'm just touching on the speech. I'm not going into all the details. So again, number 4 says, it is by now a matter of recorded history that my very first fiscal intervention as the president of this great nation. Well, it is a great nation because we have 300 ethnic people inside it, 500 languages. The question is, can this great nation exist for another 63 years? Ask yourself that question. Let's go further. President TINUBU said, this is a great nation was to be end the fuel subsidy regime, which had proven to be so harmful to the overall health of our national economy. Remember that the president removed the fuel subsidy. He went further to say, the second was to negotiate and subsequently present a supplementary budget to enable my government to fund items needed to restore macroeconomic stability, mitigate the harsh impact of the subsidy removal. 1914 amalgamation has expired according to Ibiyemi Odu Animi. So TINUBU says he requested for the supplementary budget. Remember that the NLC were having issue with the government, and the government says, I will pay another 35,000 on top of the 30,000, making it 65,000, but that is only for 6 months. What happened after 6 months? Maybe this has now been captured in the 2024 budget. Many Nigerians will say, in the budget. You just hear budget, but you do not know that the budget is what funds the project up to your constituency. And many of you today might not even understand. Mukiyawa Titi Lola Shaw says TINUBU has got nothing to offer the Nigerian masses, but many Nigerians disagree with us. They say TINUBU, the Jagaban, knows what he's doing. You are still live with me on the Star Radio UK network on the Wednesday edition. It's very, very beautiful out there. But like I said, don't be convinced with my outfit. I get big jacket too. Mrs. Teresa Atta, shout out to you and welcome to all our mothers in the house. And once again, my name is Olami Koiki. This is again on the...
This is Star Radio UK.
The best radio show. The best radio show.
Mr. Larry, and they say also Birmingham City Council recently declared itself bankrupt. Wow, I didn't know that. So you can tell now that we have problems here as well in UK. Thank you so much, Mr. Adioti Ramani says, Mr. Koiki, good job. God bless you. Yoruba Nation is the answer. I know that, but many Yoruba people, many Nigerians do not agree with us. Waris is not to say greetings, Star Radio UK, and we say greetings to you as well. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to be putting a call straight to Bishop Adesina to explain to us this budget. Komut Town say Yoruba Nation, no going back. Once again, good evening to those of you. Mr. Peter Oluwafunmilayo Babawa Ayuba Adebi, good evening to you. Comrade Shegun Ono, good evening to you. And the rest of you, Easy Dollar, good evening to you. So let's move swiftly because of the time constraint. In swearing in my budget, in swearing in my cabinet and reflecting on the unique challenge facing us, I invited the minister to imagine that we are attempting to draw water from the dry well. This is a phrase that President Bola Tinubu says. Nigeria has what it takes. We have everything. The most important thing that we have is called the human resources. But today, 60% of our youth are wondering about no job and they are crying out. And some of them end up to Japa, and that Japa has cost them a lot as well. We cannot send everybody out of Nigeria. The question is, can this budget of President Bola Tinubu, his first budget as the president, can this be the difference or the game changer? What do you think? Or do you think that borrowing, shout out to you. I spoke to a brother, Buki, before getting into the studio. You might be wondering, Buki or Kuri? Yes. Shout out to you. For those of you that wants Yoruba Nation, wait till before 8 p.m. I got 2 good news for you. Because of the time, let's quickly pick up on the real nonsense. It is unfortunate that we are borrowing more daily basis. They continue to procure unnecessary projects like buying land cruiser for the unit honor people called honorable. Thank you so much. Once again, I'll be coming out of Olayomi Koiki Instagram because we need to call Bishop Adesina on that line in just about a few minutes. Let's remember the 2024 budget, the federal government to spend 8 trillion also in debt servicing. As in some say, 8 trillion naira. Lafi mama service is a lot of money. So let's go swiftly again on number 7. Economy conditions remain challenging both abroad and at home, despite lingering post-COVID supply and production bottlenecks and conflict in various parts of the world and restrictive monetary policies in major economies. We expect global growth to hover around with 3% in 2024. So President Bola TINUBU is President Bola TINUBU is assuring Olamide Ayomise Ekweto, Mr. Koiki, Yoruba National going back. I say good evening to you as well.
This is Star Radio UK.
Turn it up again.
Are you ready to turn it up?
On where?
All around the world.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
We're still live on the Star Radio UK. Shout out to all our listeners around the globe. And every Wednesday, you can join me here. Tomorrow is the property hour. But for now, we still have the 1 hour and a half to go. We've done 62 minutes already. So the question then is, borrowing. What is President Bola TINUBU borrowing for? Health and education. Many Nigerians want to be educated. We need to educate people to be able to make things work in an economy. The reason why UK is working is because there's a lot of education training. When you go out in the morning, almost everybody has gone somewhere for one training to become an electrician or to go to university or technical school. In Nigeria, many people want to do the same thing, but the cost of education is getting very much expensive. So Bola TINUBU, the president, says, I will borrow to be able to fund education. Not just education, water supply. We need water. Without water, I'm not too sure whether we can survive. We need that water, and President Bola TINUBU said, we're going to borrow to be able to also fund water supply. Security. Many of you today might not understand that in Nigeria, security is the reason why some of us are concerned. Most of us would love to settle back in Nigeria. But when you think about the security, we're not talking just about Boko Haram. We're talking about just an average security threat, especially under freedom of speech. Once again, good evening to you, Mr. Owolabi says, I respect you a lot, %. You are a man of your word. Thank you so much. So one thing is, do not think that we have anything against the country. Do not think that we have anything against President Bola TINUBU. What we are saying is that, can this government give it to you as you want it? Because what we have been told in the past by previous administration is the same lies upon lies. So like I said, Nigeria reversed 2024 budget to $33 billion, rises oil price assumption. According to Router, Abuja, Nigeria has reversed its 2024 budget upward by 1.5 trillion naira to 27.5 trillion. Mrs. Taiwo Kike Mufitoto, Mufiki Money, welcome to the program. So those of you on Olayomi Koiki, it will be good if you just join the Instagram that is going live right now on the KOIKIMEDIA. You can see right there, or you can join us on other platform because we need to be able to join Bishop to speak to us. Emma Beno, we've got to go right now. Thank you so much. So as we say all the time, we know budget, but we need somebody that can explain it to us. Somebody that can give us the breakdown to the budget. Somebody that understands money. Because I can tell you all this figure, 27 trillion. How much get to Sokoto? How much get to Lagos? All these are questions and questions. All these are questions and questions that we are asking. So what we're going to do right now is if we can get through to our money man, Bishop, to speak to us, and let's go see if we can get through to him. Once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station. Iyami Dada Faith David. Welcome to the program. And I say this way.
This is Star Radio UK.
And let's go straight to it. There's no time to wait because I only have half an hour to spend with you. At exactly 7:30, we want to talk about the Yoruba nation. And one you were in that meeting with Babaki Toye, maybe you might give us a brief, but let's start with this budget. Bishop Additional with us all the way from Lagos. from his base, is also the one that set up the YORUBA. Many of you have been asking, what is YORUBA? Is this YORUBA something that we can trust? Is this YORUBA a lot of question? We're not talking about the YORUBA to start with, because there's still a lot that we want to talk about, and I want Bishop to start from where we need to know. Bishop, 27 trillion, President BOLA TINUBU says, budget for 2024. Should we say it's good to start with? Where do you want to take it from? And how do you want to start? I'll leave it with you for the next 5 minutes, but I might interject when I see something that I want to ask you. Good evening, Bishop Additional. What is the weather like for us to start with in Lagos this evening?
Oh, thank you very much, Koiki. The weather is cool here, not hot and not cold, but it's normal.
Okay, not too cold, not too is made. We are borrowing the budget out. Where do you want to help us for the basic understanding of my listeners, especially Nigerians that are asking questions tonight on the Star Radio UK?
All right. I listened to Mr. President's speech in the National Assembly. He talked about his Renew Hope agenda. So me, I'm telling Nigerians, don't be fooled. That Renew Hope he's talking about is Renew Shaking. Because it's the same lie the other administration came up with. And the same game is coming up again, and I'm going to explain that, how I know that. And that Renew Shake say, let's give it 6 months. It's 6 months already now. And they keep analyzing book and talking sweet talk. I want to say Nigerians are scammed by these politicians, by the world. They are scammed. If you remember in 2015, Buhari did the same thing. He removed subsidy, and the price of fuel jumped from 75 thereabout to 170 thereabout, and that automatically took the inflation rate of Nigeria to 2 digits. It took for the first time it destroyed the economic stability of Nigeria, in which people at the grassroots may not know how far that has been, but the people at the top even grown at times. And what they said is the same story of everything will come back, and you just have to continue that way. The price will normalize. It is the market is deregulated and all that. How can you deregulate a market and still be dictating the price? That's not deregulation. The regulation means that they buy at their own pace and sell at their own price. So if they buy at their own pace and sell at their own price, how come you are the one still telling them the price? So it's not deregulated. It's a scam. It's a scheme that is well agreed. So now to tell you that is a scam, when in 2019, when the election about to come in, so he brought about subsidy again. The subsidy that was removed was kicked in again, and they began to subsidize. And at that time, they now hide the subsidy, saying that they will not let people know that they are removing subsidy because of the coming election. So you can listen to the man who analyzed that Buhari already removed subsidy. He put it at after his regime so that they will not lose the 2023 election. Now, the question is, if you are scared of openly removing subsidy because you know that you will not get the favor of people, it shows that that act of removing the subsidy is wrong. It's an evil thing. It's not popular. So what they did, and that's why I said they scam Nigerians. What they did is to employ these PR all these public relation officers that can come to the media and sell removal of subsidy to the people as a good thing. So people were scammed by believing that once they remove the subsidy, it's a good desire. No. When you go to Germany subsidized. Let me tell you something. There is no country in the world that removes subsidy on energy commodity. When we talk about energy commodity, we talk about fuel, we talk about electricity. Those kind of commodities, they are called energy commodity. They are essential commodities for citizens to thrive and for microeconomy, because I heard him talking about microeconomy. Microeconomy are the people, Yalata, Yelewedu, people selling provisions. We are not talking about the gigantic companies or the no. We are talking about the microeconomics. Those are the business that run the GDP of the country. Those Yalata, Yelewedu.
So we in UK we will call them, the man with the white van. The man with the white van goes out every morning, and they are the one that runs the affairs of this country. Go ahead, Bishop.
Thank you very much. So if if business is not viable, if there is no enabling environment for these small business entities to survive the GDP of the classes, and that is what the subsidy remover has done, because the man driving can no longer take the same price, because the fuel has increased from 170 to 700 naira. Look, this is more than 100%. You are talking about 600% increase here. Now, and you want the people that will go to Shasha and buy banana, people that will go to Shasha and buy plantain, people that will go to Ikorodu and buy vegetables, and move it down to Lekki and sell to thrive. When the price of the price and they can't afford it anymore, how much will they sell the Ewedu? You can't.
So if I get hold on, Bishop. Hold on, Bishop. Sorry to cut you short. So what you're saying is that the reason why we are hearing those market women, I remember they came out in Ibadan, they were complaining, they were protesting that the cost of the fish has gone up. Is it because
that woman in Lagos selling fish fried and was costing TINUBU? Those are micro Nigerians that they just come up there and read papers to the people. They are scammers. You are killing the same economy that you said that you are promoting. And that's why these people don't see the impact of these people. They just go there and read announcements and just cash out. They cash out in Nigeria. They cash out in Nigeria. So when the bread that you for 450 naira is going for 1,800, how many people can afford it? You see that you don't sell anymore. You see that you can't afford to go for 20 bread before you are now going for like 5 bread. Your business is going down, and people too can't afford it anymore. So the microeconomy is dying. It's not even dying. It crumbles already. Because the transportation, you cannot move. You are able to move 20 goods before. You are now moving just 2 or 5 goods because of fee. And the transportation, the man who is going to transport you is just looking at the managing, because he knows that the fuel that is using is not exorbitant. I mean, everybody is managing themselves like that. So prices of commodity grows high, skyrocket with exorbitant price. That's why everything becomes expensive. People can survive well again, and the NEPA bill, all that, just going high. And you say that, let me tell you what, they know what they are doing, and they know what they are doing because all what he is talking about building infrastructure, building, you see all those budgets that they are talking about, and they are going to borrow 27.5 trillion to fund budget. That money will not exceed government parastatals.
Okay, 1 minute, Bishop. Good star radio UK. Good evening to you. UK, Eunice Uchichi. Good evening, Kingsley. Good evening, Mrs. Esther. Bishop, you're giving us the breakdown, and I don't want us to keep talking without, asking one or two questions. Especially, we have many of our listeners both home and abroad, and we have so many on different scales. Some understand why some do not understand. The most important thing I want to ask now is that I know, you're trying to still go ahead and give us some breakdown the Nigeria economy. We are talking about 27 trillion. Is it enough to stabilize that economy, even in the midst of everything you have said in the last 10 minutes? Go ahead, Bishop.
Don't let us talk too much, Koiki. It is not an amount of the amount of the budget. What he's talking about as budget, he's talking about the money schedule for the annual runnings, maintenance of the federal government and the state parastatals. Those are what they read out as budget for you. The money that they will send to Federal Ministry of this, Federal Ministry of Agri, Federal Ministry of that, Federal Ministry of this, State Ministry of the money that they will pay to all those. Okay, you talked about the local government. See, they will receive it. What is their responsibility to the community? It's just the money scheduled to maintain the government parastatals. That's all. It has no impact on the economy of the nation. It has no impact on the citizen. It has no responsibility for the citizen. It is for the parastatal of the government to survive, to pay salary of government staff, to renew the offices of the government, to buy new vehicles for the directors and all that. That is what those budgets is for. It has nothing to do with any citizen. And they don't have money to fill that. They have to borrow 7.5 trillion naira to do that. That's why I text you that what is the essence of the existence of this country? Because that money, either you like it or not, the citizen will pay it. It is the citizen that pays all those loans. Okay. You pay from the indirect taxation. All those subsidies they're removing, they are talking about taxation. You will pay. And that's why I told you that by next year, you are still shouting that you are buying 1 liter for 700. You may probably start buying it at 1,000 per liter. 1,000
but
per
liter. You
cannot be living in a same place to continue.
But
it's a simple thing. It's a simple logic. You are borrowing and you are still going to borrow.
Okay, Bishop, is there anything wrong in borrowing?
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything wrong? We saw Buhari borrowed anyway for the last 8 years, but we saw as wasteful as wastage of that government. BOLA TINUBU is now also trying to borrow 8.9 or 8.4 billion US dollars and about another 100 million euro. Is there anything wrong in borrowing?
100 million euro, yes.
Yes.
Okay, now listen. There is nothing wrong borrowing, but there is everything wrong in the attitude of the borrower. What you are borrowing for and your responsibility to pay back. Now listen, will you tell me that this government is responsible when this same government know, all the ministry, they bought SUVs for all of them, living as luxury, living as in luxury. I think that, and they are in debt, they are bankrupt, they are borrowing. Will you tell me that kind of government is responsible? See, they're not responsible because if they don't pay, another government that is coming in will inherit the problem and they will sort themselves out. So he's a milocron, he's cash out time. You cash out in the name of Nigeria. That's what's going on. And how long will they burden you with all these problems? Every time, every new government that is worse, the one that is succeeding them become worse than the one that you are crying. Now, some people are a bit praying for Buhari now because Buhari that you cry that is bad. When I was reading office, I've never seen, I've been hearing it, I've never seen a Yoruba woman beg. Today, just stepping out of the office, a woman, a responsible woman, all these women, we have husband, I know this woman, we possibly have children. Just give me, in any way you can assist me. I looked at, I just depend into my pocket, whatever I have there, I just give it to her. Because the reason is, because what could have made such a grown-up woman, an adult woman like that, to stoop low to that?
All right.
It means a lot of things.
All right.
Could have happened. I mean, before getting to someone that could have abused her, so I just give her and say, just wait. See, it has gotten to that level, and these people are cashing out in the name of Nigerian citizens.
All right. Bishop, let me come back to you.
Something that has nothing to do with it. Nigerian government is not responsible for
All right.
any of the citizens.
1 minute, Bishop. 1 minute, Bishop. From the state side now, we know the federal has the big task in supporting the country. What about the governors? What is the role of the governor at this stage now? Because they also present their own budget. We know that the federal support every month, they pay, through the FEC, account to the state and the local government. What should the state be doing right now across the 36 states to try to support the federal government of this President Bola TINUBU? What do you think they can do? Because we're talking about the lives of people right now. What do you think can be done?
See, the Constitution did not give the governors responsibility to support the federal government. The Constitution endows the federal government the authority of ownership of everything and give back to the state. And that's why we are saying that is not federalism. You are running a unitary system. When somebody sits, and Abuja is too far for you to have oversight over the entire Nigeria. Nigeria is too big for one person in Abuja to know what's going on or regulate. So the Constitution itself takes away authority from the governors. So all the governors are capable, but they became incapacitated by the constitutions. And apart from that, the same constitution takes away authority or sovereignty from the citizen. That's why people who sit in the diaspora just look at Nigeria, talk as if Nigeria has no brain or other. I just pity you. Because you have no idea what they call Nigeria. When you come to Nigeria, try to study Nigeria from afar, from any book you can read, or the country is a slavery box.
Bishop, again,
sovereignty from the people and give it to the states.
All right, a question again is coming through.
It's in Section 2 of the Constitution.
All right, a question is coming.
It doesn't matter whoever is the head of the state, either governor or president, whatever they do, either wrong or right, that becomes the law.
All right, Bishop, let me ask you, why can't they why can't these senators, I think there's about 106 of them, why is it difficult to slash their salary and use that as part of savings? Why is it difficult?
now, I would have said that there are few among them that could be so sincere in the heart and say that can we do this? We are not doing right, but there are majority in the house who are there for what they like, for their very reason why they are there is to enrich themselves. And those kind of number of people will outrun those who are genuine. And if they put them in trouble anyway, so you will not see, I'm not saying they're entirely bad, but you will scarcely see a good, genuine or good people that have the citizen in mind. What they were bidding for in the House of Assembly, they were not talking about the suffering of the citizens. They said let the poor breathe, and they were laughing at that. The people that are supposed to represent the people and speak for the people, they were mocking the citizens in the House of Assembly, laughing over that let the poor breathe.
All right.
They were losing more millions. So that's forget Nigeria, please, my brother.
All right. 1 minute, Bishop.
Waiting for when it will cast.
When it's going to cast. But before it casts,
everybody will see. Now, let me tell you something.
Well, 1 minute, Bishop. Before you tell us that something.
Removing the subsidy.
Yeah.
Yeah. In July, they told us that from removing of the subsidy,
the higher income that comes in, because when they remove the subsidy, they have more revenue. The revenue jumped from billions to trillions. And what they said is they're going to be keeping 3 trillion every month of excessive income of subsidy. Now, who is asking them where is the 3 trillion that has been kept for the past 5 or 6 months now that you are keeping from excess? Who is asking them where? That why are they going to borrow again? Borrowing 27. I mean, you now having $8.6 billion, another 100 million euros, and say they want to use that for. So they cannot come out of the recession they are inside. And another thing is Nigeria is not going through inflation. What is happening to Nigeria is deflation. Like difference between inflation and deflation. Inflation is when you have excess of printed money that more than commodity that people can buy. No, what is happening in Nigeria is deflation. Deflation. The people worth more than the money they have because the money has been mopped off from them and they were short-changed. Currency. How much is NAIRA now to $1? Almost 1,200 to $1. Within 6 months, from 450.
Bishop, before we go further, once again, if you just join us there, this is still.
This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome to those of you that have just joined us, Triple DRS. Good evening, Eunice. Good evening to my mom. Once again, on the line with me, all the way from his base, is Bishop Adesina. We've been going through, the budget in Nigeria. Diraya say, brother, are you not tired of Nigeria? Please, I need another country passport. Shout out to our mother, Mrs. Dupe Agbola. I say good evening to those of you that have joined us. Olamide Konpe. Happy birthday to Matthias, one of the staff for the sister broadcast KOIKIMEDIA. Akim Ayodele, good evening to you. Happy birthday if you're celebrating in the month of November. Sunday Adebanjo, good evening, sir. Latif Olamide Adelaja says, good evening, Aria Yoruba Nation. Bishop, I want to come back again to you and look at it from this other side. Are we really unfair with President BOLA TINUBU? Remember that TINUBU told us that he actually took a bankrupt country from Buhari, even though we know that they are the same APC, but he's a new person at the realms of affairs. Are we really being fair with this administration that is just less than 6 months into the government itself?
Okay, thank you very much. Are you listening to me?
Loud and clear.
Hello, Koiki.
Loud and clear. We can hear you loud and clear, Bishop. Go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Oh, I want now. The Buhari, when he was a military head of state, how long does it took him to arrest all the corrupt politicians in Nigeria when he took over as a military during the military coup? Within 1 month, all the governors, all of them were arrested and they were prosecuted, including either justly or unjustly. So how long will it take, if TINUBU is telling us he met a bank economy, how long will it take him? He has DSS in his custody, he has EFCC in his custody. How long does it take him to pin down Emefiele? Is it because Emefiele directly worked against him? Emefiele did not directly work against him. Emefiele worked on instruction. Because, but it shouldn't have. It shouldn't have because the CBN supposed to be independent. And so that is Emefiele cup of tea anyway. But how long does it take him to pin down Emefiele? So why is it taking him long? He's still in Daura or wherever he is. So if he met the background economy, it was there. Wow. Let me pick him up to come and explain what is there any immunity for ex-presidents in Nigeria?
Well, that was what I was going to ask you, Bishop.
Immunity for presidents, even when they are ex-presidents. So Nigeria is finished then. Nigeria is finished. So why people talking about Nigeria?
Okay, I was gonna ask you.
That the Constitution doesn't give the citizen human rights. It gives you human rights at one hand and take away the human rights from you from the back.
Okay, that is a good point because I'm sure some of you saw the reportage, from the COVID inquiry today where we were there, KOIKIMEDIA and the Star Radio UK broadcasting to the studio. Do you ever think that this administration will set up an inquiry to look into every details of the previous administration? That's number one. And as you're finishing on that, I want us now to review, because you were in the meeting. It's 7:30. We go straight to the self-determination. Is a sponsor program from Ilana Omodua under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye. And I want you to, from what you heard, whatever you think that we can snip from what you heard, if not everything, from the conversation with Professor Adebanji Akintoye on Saturday, and I'll be adding that to that as well. But the question is, do you think that this administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should set up an inquiry on what took place or what went wrong, what happened during the administration of his past president, Muhammadu Buhari? Like you said, they don't have immunity. This is still again.
This is Star Radio.
Go ahead, Bishop.
All right. Thank you very much. Number one, I'm not member of Tinubu's cabinet. So
we don't know what Tinubu have in store. But according to your question, I will assume that he has no plan to do that because he never mentioned that in his agenda. He lists all his agenda when he's in authority. He talks about reforming the CBN, talking about reforming the exchange value and all that, and he did all that margin and all that, but that doesn't take us anywhere. That's just accountant experiment. And many other things, removing subsidy, the scam plan and all that. So he has mentioned all the agenda. So he didn't mention that. So I'm not going to assume for him. So, but if he eventually do that, fine. Maybe he has a plan and he knows where he's going on that. So that is that. So, but based on the meetings we had with Baba and all that. So some of those decisions over there are private decisions, private talks, and I don't think it's food for public. And
okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Baba himself comes out
And discuss it.
on
All right.
Because most of the things Baba instructs us is that once our plan is already ready, that's when we dish it out. But when it's just being discussed, then we keep it secret. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That has been Bishop. I'm going to let you go, and we might see if we can open the phone line. The line is open. We'll probably open the phone line, while we're discussing, the budget. But as we move into the right to self-determination, there's a lot of questions being asked. There's a lot of people asking questions. Where are we? What is going on the movement itself? Shout out to Bishop once again, and thanks so much for giving us that breakthrough. Once again,
Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
and like they say, let the poor breathe. Do you think that President BOLA TINUBU wants the poor to breathe? What is your take on that? Let's listen to one person that was also a former governor of the CBN telling us, you don't print money. It seems that Emefiele kept on printing money. Was that good or not? Let's listen to this to start with.
I was governor of Central Bank, and I made the exchange rate at about 138 NAIRA. I am
the exchange rate is now about almost 1,000 plus, 138 NAIRA as at the time.
That presided over having seen the rate move down from 138 to 120 to 118, and actually came down to 112 NAIRA to the dollar before the global financial crisis of 2008, 2009. And I met $10 billion as external reserves and built it to the all-time almost 63 billion that we had. And even in spite of, payment of the 12 billion in external debt and then going through the worst financial crisis in history, I still left behind about 45 billion the day I left office. Now, I've seen this myself. I've seen it up, I've seen it down, and I know quite a few things, but there's a note I'll leave with you. And that is that we must realize where we're coming from. That we sat here in this country and saw the monetary authorities literally printing money, literally illegally, and I must say, printing money. Because I superintended the development or the drafting of the 2007 Central Bank Act. And to prevent us from getting where we are today, that's why we had an explicit clause there that prevents Central Bank from lending, recklessly.
So it seems that Emefiele lended recklessly, and that led to so much of the problems that we are facing today. But it seems that President BOLA TINUBU is going after Emefiele alone. I'm asking the question, what about the others? What about people like the former aviation minister that lied to Nigerians, gave us this impression, a false hope that things were working, only for us to realize that it is all lies, especially when it comes to the Nigerian Air. I'm sure most of you remember that. We were told that the Nigerian Air will be operating, sometime in December, only God knows. But let us listen to what the new aviation minister said less than 48 hours ago. Festus Keyamo said this to us: corruption in Nigeria. Do you ever think that we can find a lasting solution to it? Do you think that the current administration will be able to fight corruption? Once again, as we say, we all have a role to play. We are just doing our own, and I hope yours would also come true as well. So let's listen to these, and when I come back, I will tell you a little bit more about self-determination. I have deliberately not granted the full press interview. I've heard all kinds of things going on, all kinds of breakbacks in the social media. But I cannot preempt my president. I cannot. All the documents, all the reports, everything we have forwarded to Mr. President. The issues we met on the ground. But just to say that it would have been irresponsible of me as minister to take over office, and I feel the pulse of Nigerians. I feel even the National Assembly raised concerns over that. And so many stakeholders. It would have been irresponsible to close my eyes totally to those concerns. So because of that, we suspended it to say, let's just look at all the issues and recommend. Now we have looked at all the issues, and it's before Mr. President. But let me just give one or two snippets before Nigerians who are, who are quick to judge. In the agreement, you are giving tax waivers to Ethiopian airline coming into Nigeria. They asked for tax waivers for 5 years, and you granted them to come and compete with your local airlines who are paying those heavy taxes. How? You want to create a monopoly. That's why when they tell you that, we want to crash price by 70%, it's a lie. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul. Because they have removed all taxes from you and you granted them to the tax waivers. And initially, they will crash prices. Once you drive every other person out of the market, you now have a monopoly that you can hike it 500%. Nobody there to challenge you. The only thing that brings down prices in the commercial world is competition. It's fair competition. In the agreement, they also made a proposal that they will appoint everybody, top management, everybody Ethiopian in Nigeria. And we agreed. We agreed. I'm just giving you snippets. I'll do a full interview. I'm not. Well, you've listened to the new aviation minister, Festus Keyamo, telling us that, Ade Seriki, the former aviation minister, remember he paid so much for those fire engine, even though there's no plane, there's no office, there's no website to recruit Nigerians. It is just the lies. But a Nigerian used to this kind of lies. Good evening to you, Mr. Majid Ibrahim. It's 1940. That's about 20 minutes before 8 p.m. And we're going to start with this. And then when I come back, we're going to discuss the good news. I'm sure a lot of you want to hear the good news. Everybody good news, especially when it comes to self-determination. Something that will be used for that communication. But let's listen to this again. Can we ever be united in Nigeria? That is the first question tonight. Let's leave that alone.
Federal government.
Can we ever be united in Nigeria? Do you think that our unity can remain one? The vice president said during the week or last week that the unity of Nigeria is in our strength. I'm asking again, Inje Alewa ever united in Nigeria? And if we're going to be united, the question is how? Where do we start from? Do we start from the top?
Now
let's listen to this.
Fringes, talking about and believing and espousing the belief that Nigeria truly should be one.
We need to begin by resolving a conceptual crisis. What do I mean by a conceptual crisis? Quite often when we speak about Nigeria, we collapse the distinction between country, state, and nation. We tend to think that the three being the same. We tend to think the three are synonyms. A country is a territory. From the Latin contra terra, the land that lies ahead of you. A country is a territory. It is not necessarily a nation. A nation is an association of peoples. And I use that word in the plural deliberately because of diversity. A nation is an association of peoples who identify their shared core values. And on the basis of their shared core values, they give themselves a constitution which will now establish institutions that make up the state. What we have in Nigeria and in most African countries is a confusion. There we think the nation is the state. The nation is reduced to the state. We have a country quite all right by the fact that we live within a territory, even if that territory is not secure, as we all know. But we don't have a nation.
No.
We have institutions that make up the state. We collapse the nation into the state. If you look at our constitution, section 2 of the current constitution, and you don't find this in the 1963 constitution, it ascribes sovereignty not to the people but to the state. That is dangerous. That means the state has the last say on any question. That means the state is more powerful than the citizen. That is a recipe for impunity. Because as we all know, the state is the head of state, or the governor, or whoever represents them. Whatever they say, we all have to comply, whether they're right or wrong. So we don't have a democracy in the true sense of the word.
Oh my God.
And until we have that, until we build a nation, we can't even talk of unfinished greatness. And I have to make a critique of the title of Governor Fayeme's book. It presupposes that there is a project that is unfinished. I am saying we have not even started the project.
Oh my God.
And we need to stop deluding ourselves. What are our shared core values? What are the things that bring us together, apart from the super egos? You know,
Well, you've been listening to that, and I don't know what your reactions are, but my reaction is, can we believe what the vice president said? And the vice president said, and I quote, that the unity of Nigeria is in the strength of Nigerians. We must unite to be able to save Nigeria. And I'm asking the question, who are we saving Nigeria for? Once again, a very good evening to those of you. Let us remind ourselves that there cannot be a unity when those that are now asking whether we truly want to remain as Nigerians. Let's look at it from this point. Nnamdi Kanu is still in the custody of the DSS, while the military is telling us today that the Boko Haram are the military. I didn't say that. This was what the Inspector General of Police, Egbetokun, said, that the invasion, the attack on the Nigeria police in Adamawa is like a Boko Haram attacking the station. Should we start talking, or should we start living in denial? This is why the Yorubas and the Biafrans and the Middle Belt are saying that we should come on the round table and do not let anyone fool you that we cannot negotiate Nigeria. Nigeria can be negotiated, and it will be negotiated for the total indigenous people. The indigenous people that owns the land before the British came and decided to change who we are by removing our culture, changing the landscape of the territory that they met when Lugard decided to do the fraudulent amalgamation. That amalgamation has cost us a lot, and it is still costing us so much. That is why Professor Adebanji Akintoye, the leader of the Yoruba self-determination struggle, says that even after Bogo, I'm going to move into the Yoruba because this is a sponsored program and it is meant to be in Yoruba, but we will do the translation for the listeners around the globe. Maybe we should listen to this to start with again.
Ọmọ Ìbàràpá lápapọ̀ ẹ̀jẹ̀ àdúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àti ọmọ. Ọmọ Yorùbá lápapọ̀ tilẹ̀ tó kọ́ ẹ̀mí àgbọ̀ ẹ̀bá ń kọ́ ọmọ Adéyẹmọ. Chief Sunday Adéyẹmọ Ìgbòho orúkọ ńlá tí ń jámọ̀ láyà bí àrá orúkọ tó ń dẹ̀rù gbó lórúkọ gan-an. Ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ má sọ torí pé gbòòrà a kò lè fojú kégbodò láyé títa ríro lẹ̀dá ń kọlà wúrà tó máa dán alànà
mọ̀nà ẹ̀dá kan lè ṣì wá lọ́nà mọ́ ẹjẹ́ tí wọ́n ṣọ̀kan ká lè débi re ẹjẹ́ àjọgbẹ́rù kò ti Sunday Ìgbòho ṣá ọmọ Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ nílùú Alágbàdo Òde ọmọ atapẹ̀tẹ̀ wọnú omi ọmọ gèdèlè wodò sànyà ìsànyà òrẹ́ràn bàbá yín láàrin ìdí omi kò sí náà ń kán sí yín lẹ́nu ọmọ òkúta mẹ́ta òkè Ìgbòho ìkan ṣe yín ní dágbàdàgbọ̀ ìkan ní mọ́ rọra ìkan tó kù nígbà tí wọ́n mọ̀ Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ kí ló dé Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ sí ọmọ òpópó sanran ìgbàgede Ìgbòho sùn wọn láláìsí bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọn ní kó ní bẹ̀rẹ̀ ó máa kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ ẹ̀sìn òní bímọ méjì ní Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ ẹ̀sìn bá bímọ méjì ní Ìgbòho áfíkan pọkó sí ámúkan yòókù bọ sànyà àtúmúyà rẹ̀ tí ò lọ́rọ̀ gbọ́ àfiṣẹ́rù wálé wàràmùjẹ ọmọ onílé ọ̀la àwọn àjòjì tó ń ṣe ṣègbésègbè tọ́láwọn oníbomi kó sí mú wọn láwọn oníbomi sànyà wẹ̀sẹ̀ ìgbà lójú kò fi ń kọ́ gbogbo wọn náà sáré bomi kó sí mú wọ́n sì bomi sànyà wẹ̀sẹ̀ ọmọ abẹ́rẹ́ mẹ́ta òde ayé ọ̀kan ṣẹ́ ọ̀kan tẹ̀ ọ̀kan tó kù ní gbogbo ayé tí ránṣọ kiri gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá Sunday Ìgbòho onírèlè láéláé torí àbá lásán nìkan ń dá òkúta òṣègbè fún wọn o ìmọ̀ràn lásán ni ti balùwẹ̀ ó kọ́ sí ibùkún dòdò láyé ń bí okùn díẹ̀ tí kò domi láéláé tó nílé domi Sunday Ìgbòho arógun má ti bí tó ń jà fẹ́tọ̀ Yorùbá ní tilé tó kó.
Nítorí ẹ̀ ni bàbá wa Professor Adébánjí Akíntóyè ló ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń polongo Yorùbá Nation. Àwọn tí ẹ gbọ́ yẹn ni àwọn rálì tí a ti ṣe nígbà tí ariwo yẹn ta lọ pé àwa Yorùbá àwa ìran ọmọ aládé a ní àjọṣepọ̀ wa pẹ̀lú Nàìjíríà kò dán mọ́rán àfẹ́ bá Nàìjíríà ṣe afẹ́jẹ́ ká jókòó àlàáfíà kájọ yanjú ẹ̀. Bàbá wa Lúkẹ̀ sọ pé let's bring all the past and the present president in Nigeria together to govern us, believe no solution again. Ìdí tí a ṣe ń sọ pé a fẹ́ dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè lára díẹ̀ náà ní gbogbo bàtà ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé Nàìjíríà ò sí tẹ́lẹ̀ rí kò sí nǹkan kan tó ń jẹ́ Nàìjíríà gbogbo Nàìjíríà tá à ń sọ yìí kò tí ì pé ju 108 years old. Àwa ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ ra wa ǹjẹ́ tí Bọ́lá Tinubu bá ṣe tán fáwọn tí wọ́n sọ pé ọmọ Yorùbá ni a kì í ṣèdí bẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ ká gbélẹ̀kẹ̀ a kì í gbélẹ̀kẹ̀ lọ sídìí ẹlòmíì tí ẹ lọ gbélẹ̀kẹ̀ fún Tinubu ló ń ṣèjọba lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nísìnyí àmọ́ tí Tinubu bá ṣe tán kí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀. Ìdí tá a ṣe ń polongo fọ́mọ Yorùbá pé kò ń ṣe fẹ́ẹ̀mí àníṣẹ́ fún ọjọ́ ọ̀la ni. That is the reason why we are saying that the Yoruba nation, the campaign for the quest of the Yoruba people, does not mean that it has to be an armed struggle, but it has to be one thing that we must continue to ring the bell létí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá. Mo wá fẹ́ fi tó wa létí lálẹ́ yìí pé bí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá ṣe ń pariwo pé nǹkan le gógó bí ojú ẹja nílé, ìdí tá à ń sọ fún wa pé ó sì máa le jù bó ṣe yẹ lọ yìí. Nàìjíríà ò lè ṣiṣẹ́, ó ti tóbi jù fún rẹ̀. Nàìjíríà ní láti pín kí a lè rí ayé lò. Gbogbo owó tó bá ń sọ fún pé ní chọ́ọ̀chẹ́ pé ká máa gbàdúrà fún Nàìjíríà, àdúrà tẹ́ ti ń gbà láti 63 years níbo ló já sí. Àwọn ọ̀pọ̀ ogun kọ́ là ń pè, orí ètò tá a ṣe wà là ń pè ní mo kí ọmọdé mo kí àgbàlagbà. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ sọ pé ẹ fẹ́ Yorùbá kó dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè kan, ẹ jẹ́ ká máa fi tó yín pé the more tá a bá ṣì ń bẹ nínú àárín tó ń pè ní Nàìjíríà a lè ní àṣeyọrí o. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i tó bá di ìjọ Saturday tí ó ń bọ̀ yìí wọ́n náà ọmọ Yorùbá kí gbogbo wa ká pàdé níbo la ti máa pàdé àti pé kí ló fẹ́ ṣẹlẹ̀ gangan, àmọ́ ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ lọ rẹ́gísítà ní o lórí event Eventbrite nítorí pé ẹni tó bá ní ticket ó ṣeé ṣe kó débẹ̀ kó má jẹ́ kó wọlé o. Kó má sọ pé ìgbà tó gbọ́ lórí rédíò ò gbọ́ tààrin yẹn ìdí tá a ṣe ń sọ fún gbogbo wa pé Thanksgiving, the Yoruba Thanksgiving, ìyẹn máa wáyé níjọ́ Saturday yìí, the 2nd of December 2023, ní aago 3 títí di aago 10 alẹ́, níbi tí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá àtẹni tó fẹ́ Yorùbá nation àtẹni tó fẹ́ Yorùbá nation wọ́n ní kájọ jókòó kájọ pàdé kájọ mọ́ra wa kájọ bára wa sọ̀rọ̀ òdodo ọ̀rọ̀ kájọ dúpẹ́ nítorí pé inú ọdún yìí ọdún tí a gbọ́dọ̀ dúpẹ́ náà ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ oríṣiríṣi nǹkan ló ti ṣẹlẹ̀ gbogbo ẹni tó bá wá fẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ ètò náà tó ń pè ní First Yoruba Community in UK Thanksgiving ìyẹn máa wáyé o ní ọjọ́ Saturday yìí ní aago 3 títí di aago 10 ó máa wáyé ní Abadasha Acham College Pet Road side ní 135 Pet Road London SE 14 5SL gbogbo ẹni tó bá ń bẹ ní London abẹ́rẹ́ tẹ wà níta ẹ̀yin náà ṣe darapọ̀ mọ́ wa kí gbogbo akájọ ṣe kí ni kájọ fojú kanra lágbára Elédùmarè wọn nífẹ̀ẹ́ lómi ṣe wá o àwa tá à ń polongo Yorùbá nation kò ń ṣe pé Nàìjíríà ta ti ń polongo ẹ̀ látijọ́ yìí náà kò ń ṣe pé àní kankan tarí mú nínú ẹ̀ àmọ́ ṣe láti tẹ̀síwájú láti lè rí àyè wa ní àgbáyé torí pé àyè wa lẹ́nìí ọmọ Yorùbá máa ń jìyà ní Turkey ọmọ Yorùbá ń jìyà ní Cyprus ọmọ Yorùbá ń jìyà ní Turkey wọ́n ń jìyà ní Qatar wọ́n ń jìyà ní Oman bàbá wa Prophet Ológun Olúwa àwọn Yorùbá diaspora mega rally mo láǹfààní àti bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá nígbà táwa jọ ń sọ̀rọ̀ wọ́n ní Mr. Koiki mo rìn àjò lọ sí Qatar mo kí ìyá wa Grace Olúṣòótọ́ ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wọ́n náà wọ́n rìn àjò lọ sí Qatar bẹ́ẹ̀ làwọn lọ sí United Arab Emirates wọ́n ní Mr. Koiki wọ́n ní ìyà kò í ṣomi ọbẹ̀ ìyà ń jẹ ṣégè sáwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tó ń bẹ níbẹ̀ wọ́n ní kódà gbogbo àwọn tó wá darapọ̀ mọ́ àwọn ní ìpàdé táwọn pè wọ́n náà làwọn láti fún wọn ní owó nítorí pé kò sí owó lọ́wọ́ wọn èmi wá ń béèrè pé ṣé bí a ṣe máa lọ náà lélẹ́yìí táwa kan bá ń gbádùn ṣé bí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá náà ṣe ń gbádùn nìyẹn ṣé bí ó ṣe rí tẹ́lẹ̀ náà nìyẹn kò kúkú rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ìyà tó wà ní United Arab Emirates níbi tí aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu tó ti parọ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kan torí pé ó parọ́ nígbà tó ń bọ̀ láti India pé òun máa yanjú aáwọ̀ tó ń bẹ pẹ̀lú Nàìjíríà àti United Arab Emirates láti lè jẹ́ kó fáwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà tó ń bẹ níbẹ̀ àtọmọ Yorùbá àti àwọn ẹ̀yà tó kù ní ìwé láti fi ṣiṣẹ́ àwa rí pé irọ́ náà ló ń bẹ níbẹ̀ kò wá ń ṣe níjọ́ second nìkan máa ṣẹlẹ̀ o bẹ̀bẹ̀ máa bẹ nílùú Amẹ́ríkà náà ní ọjọ́ 3 oṣù kọkànlá the 12th month of December nílùú Amẹ́ríkà náà ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ kí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀ láwọn ibi méjèèjì yìí ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ gbọ́.
ẹjọ́ ṣà OPU tọdún yìí tún wọlé dé wẹ́rẹ́. Oòduà Progressive Union ẹgbẹ́ tẹ̀síwájú Oòduà ẹgbẹ́ tó ń gbèsè àti ṣẹlẹ̀ Oòduà lárugẹ ẹ̀ka ti Maryland American pé gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá àtàtà síbi àjọ àṣà wọn tọdún yìí eléyìí tí ó wáyé lọ́jọ́ àìkú ọjọ́ 7 oṣù kejì lọ́dún 2023 9816 Liberty Road Randallstown Maryland 21133 United States of America làyájọ́ àṣà náà ti wáyé níbi àjọ àṣà tọdún yìí lẹ́yìn tó máa jìgbádùn ewì ijó ìbílẹ̀ ìlú bàtà ìlú gángan tí wọ́n sì máa ṣàfihàn gbogbo tó jẹ mọ́ṣà àti ṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá bákan náà lẹ́gbẹ́ Oòduà Progressive Union máa fàmì ẹ̀ dáhùn yẹn lọ́la tí ìlú wọn kó lórí Yorùbá kan yóò sì máa kàn lù sáwọn yẹn gbàdé táwọn sì máa káwọn ọmọ alédè Yorùbá ẹwà kájọ gbàṣà àti ṣe Oòduà lárugẹ lọ́jọ́ 7 oṣù kejì lọ́dún 2023 aago 4 ìrọ̀lẹ́ lè tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ àyájọ́ àṣà Oòduà Progressive Union ẹ̀ka Maryland Amẹ́ríkà fún tọ́lú yìí ó máa loud gan ẹ̀ máa ní ìsì ẹ̀ olùkéde olóyè Dixon Olúgbòdì tí gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ sí alẹ́pẹ̀pẹ̀ Baltimore Maryland USA Oòduà gbèwà o.
ẹ jẹ́ ká darapọ̀ mọ́ wọn ní Oòduà Progressive Union ìyẹn ní present the heritage and cultural day culture wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá ó yàtọ̀ sí culture tàwọn Ìgbò bẹ́ẹ̀ ló yàtọ̀ sí tàwúsá mo kí bàbá wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ìyẹn bàbá wa Tùlúkè wọ́n ní since the first administration of the former president Muhammadu Buhari títí di wákàtí kò sí any ID fún ọmọ Nàìjíríà tó ń bẹ ní United Arab Emirates lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí mo kí gbogbo wa pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò àwa tí à ń darapọ̀ orí ètò tá a wà là ń pè ní ní aago 6 ní ọjọ́jọ́ Wednesday lè máa bá wa lórí ètò yìí. Mo kí bàbá wa Ṣeun Làwà, mo kí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Àníṣe aago 8 ló ṣẹ̀ fi lọ lù nílùú London. Atẹ́gùn tó ń fẹ́ níta, atẹ́gùn tó ṣe kéni tí kò ń ṣe tí a lè máa fi dá pàrá. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí níjọ́ Saturday ẹ jẹ́ á darapọ̀. A kí gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ ṣe ètò tó lọ tán ní ìlú Ìbàdàn. A kí gbogbo àwọn tó gbétò náà kalẹ̀ pé a kú oríire náà gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ti ṣe sọ ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá pé ètò náà ó máa wáyé. Ètò náà dẹ̀ ti wáyé, ó ti lọ báyìí. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tún máa gbáradì fún èyí tó ń bọ̀ níjọ́ Saturday. Gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ebi o tẹ́ ń pariwo ẹ jẹ́ á gbọ́n tí aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu sọ.
Cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not.
Well, ó ní kò sí any other way o pé in tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé a máa faramọ́ nítorí pé ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ yìí ọ̀rọ̀ tí òun ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí ni. Ìyẹn náà ló ṣe gbé bọ́jẹ̀tì 27 trillion jáde pé gbogbo ọmọ Nàìjíríà òun máa yáwó láti fi fọ́ǹdì bọ́jẹ̀tì yìí nítorí pé kò sí owó kankan nílẹ̀. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń sọ̀rọ̀ bàbá wa Olóyè Ìgbòho, àníṣe ẹ fi bàbá yìí sílẹ̀ nítorí pé bàbá wà pẹ̀lú mọ̀lẹ́bí ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́, ẹ jẹ́ á fi sílẹ̀ kó ṣèsinmi nítorí pé lótìtọ́ lódodo ó ní òun ò dẹ̀yìn lẹ́yìn ọmọ Yorùbá, àmọ́ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń fà níbí tẹ́ ń fà lọ́hùn-ún ẹ jẹ́ á dúró lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation nìkan nítorí pé bàbá wa Olóyè Ìgbòho tó ń bẹ pẹ̀lú mọ̀lẹ́bí ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ní Germany ní ọdún 2 ni ó fi wà ní Nàìjíríà àti Benin tí gbogbo oríṣiríṣi nǹkan ti ṣẹlẹ̀. Ọdún 2 kò tí mà tó pẹ̀lú òun àti mọ̀lẹ́bí ẹ̀, àmọ́ ó ní máa rán ilé tí báyìí o pé gbogbo ìgbà tí bá ti wà lórí ètò kí máa ké sí yín báyìí.
You can say anything you like about me. Don't care. I'm still strong because God is my creator. But remember, this world is not our home. We will live one day.
Ó ní pé ilé ayé ìyọ̀kúkú ṣe tiwa nìkan, ìjọ kan máa wà olúkálukú máa lọ. Ẹja gbọ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí.
You can say anything you like about me. Don't care. I'm still strong because God is my creator. But remember, this world is not our home. We will live one day. Thank you.
Bàbá wa Olóyè Ìgbòho ló sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ní ọdún bíi 2 kan sẹ́yìn ní àìpẹ́ náà ni wọ́n sọ kò jọ ọdún 2. Ó wá ní ojúmọ́ kan ò ní lọ pé kó má sọ̀rọ̀ òun. Kò sí ojú kan tó lọ ọjọ́ kan ò ní lọ tí wọ́n ní sọ̀rọ̀ bàbá wa Olóyè Dr. Sunday Ìgbòho nítorí pé àṣẹ̀dá èèyàn tí rúmọlẹ̀ fún wa ni. Ọlọ́run ọba ló jogún ẹ̀ fún wa. Àwa náà wá ń dúpẹ́ fún ní gbogbo ìgbà pé àlàáfíà tẹ̀lé gúngùn ríkìríkì ara ẹ̀ kó máa lọ ní gbogbo ìgbà. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ ilé ìka tó máa tẹ̀síwájú.
Ọlọ́run ni mo ṣe rẹ̀ fún yẹn o. Gbogbo nǹkan tó lọ fún bàbá mi láyé, bàbá mi ò tí ì fi ọ̀dà 9 fún mi ń bẹ̀, ó kọ̀ mí ju bàbá mi lọ. Ìgbò àdìbọ́lẹ̀ mo ló ní bàbá mi. Ojúmọ̀ òní mọ́ ọmọ dàkọ̀ mí nìkan, àyẹ̀dàkẹ́ sọ dáadáa tàbí kẹ́ sọ burúkú ẹ̀ sàṣọ kan, òmìnira Ọlọ́run fún. Bí n bá sì kú, lè gbà sí èmi sí.
Tọ́wọ̀n bá dẹ̀ kú, lè gbàṣẹ́ ṣe, àmọ́ arákùnrin ìyẹn tó wà lórí ètò torí a máa lọ síbi tí a ti fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àwọn news tó jáde ní Nàìjíríà lénìí. Aago 8:30 ni a máa parí ètò yìí. For the benefit of those of you that have not really understood what I've been saying, is just to catch up on the Yoruba self-determination struggle. And I'll be talking about the self-determination of the Biafra government in exile in just about a few minutes. But for now, it is still...
This is Star Radio UK.
And I say...
Are you ready to turn it up?
8 o'clock ló ṣàlù lọ́dọ̀ tiwa nílùú London níbi tí a ti ń gbétò yìí wá. Thank you so much once again. But before we go into the next conversation, again, this is what Tinubu say I should tell you.
Wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ epo àwọn á di 200 á di bàbá. Ẹ fọkàn balẹ̀, a máa gbé wálẹ̀.
wọ́n ní kẹ́ fọkànbalẹ̀ pé kẹ́ fọkànbalẹ̀ ìyẹn aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu ní kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá lọ fọkànbalẹ̀ òun ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ètò bí Nàìjíríà ṣe máa da òun ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí. Now ẹ jẹ́ ká wá fún yín ní good news tí a ní amú wá fún wa kó tó di pé a máa tẹ̀síwájú. Wọ́n ti fi tó mi létí ó ti wà ní ibi tí a lè sọ pé lágbára Elédùmarè gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ti ń dúró de rédíò ẹ rántí rédíò tí wọ́n ní wọ́n ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ìyẹn rédíò tí wọ́n fi ń gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ rédíò tẹ́ máa fi gbọ́ Yorùbá Nation dáadáa rédíò tí gbogbo wa ti gbọ́ ìpolówó ẹ̀ látara gbogbo ètò tí a ti ń ṣe bọ̀ ní gbogbo àwa tí à ń pariwo pé a fẹ́ Yorùbá Nation. Mo lè sọ fún yín pé èmi ti rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ pálí production rédíò yẹn tó sọ pé Mr. Koiki rédíò náà kẹ̀rẹ́ ó mà ti wá sí ìmúṣẹ fún àwọn tí wọ́n ṣètò rédíò náà. Mo kíyàwó Elizabeth Adesanya mo lè wá fi dá wa lójú pé rédíò náà ó máa pọnlẹ̀kùn sádùúgbò yín láìpẹ́ àmọ́ kò ń ṣọ̀fẹ́ o ẹ máa rà á ní fáfànà yìí tí ẹ wà nílé. Ìyẹn rédíò tí à ń sọ yìí òun ni ó máa gbé ọ̀rọ̀ jáde lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá Nation. Kódà wọn ló ní iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná nínú ẹ̀ tá à ń pè ní torchlight kódà kò kí ń lo iná tó bá fẹ́ jẹ́ pé nǹkan tẹ́ fẹ́ béèrè nìyẹn. Tẹ́ bá ti gbé sínú ọ̀run nínú ibi tí ọ̀run ń bẹ kẹ́pẹ́kẹ́pẹ́ nílẹ̀ wa á recharge rẹ̀. Kódà tẹ́ bá fẹ́ charge àwọn device yín tẹ́ bá ti connect ẹ̀ mọ́ ó tún níbi tá à ń pè ní SD card tó bá wá dijọ́ Saturday àtijọ́ Sunday ní aago 8 títí di aago 9 níbẹ̀ lẹ ti máa gbọ́ ètò Yorùbá Nation ní kẹ́tíkẹ́tí. Lẹ́tì yẹn àwa sọ pé a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo àwọn tó ṣètò rédíò náà títí débi tó dé ní wákàtí nítorí pé ní ọdún 2 sẹ́yìn wọ́n ní kò ní wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Àwa dúpẹ́ pé rédíò náà ó ti rìn bọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀ o. Wọ́n ní kí n kéde fún yín pé láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà wàá máa sọ bí tẹ́ ti máa rà á fẹ́yìn tẹ́ wà ní Nàìjíríà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àtẹ̀yìn tẹ́ bá wà ní Amẹ́ríkà àti gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ní Europe gbogbo ibi tí wọ́n ti máa tà á àti iye tó máa tà á gbogbo ẹ̀ pátápátá wá ṣàlàyé fún wa. 5 minutes past as we are now again reminding you this was one of the most beautiful rally that was held in Ekiti. I'm sure you all remember that phrase, that word. Ọlọ́run ọba Elédùmarè kó bá foríjì bàbá wa Adogan and Alhaji Fatai. We are still asking this present administration of President Bola Tinubu to put an investigation of what took place at the residence of Chief Dr. Sunday Adeyemo Igboho during that assassination attempt. 2 people were lost forever, but they are not lost in mind. We need their bodies back, and if that will mean that we will go out for a peaceful rally on that alone, we will do that. But like I said, we hope that this new administration will investigate and ask why Oloye Igboho's house was attacked. When I come back, I'll be telling you more about the government in exile of the Biafra Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. So we come out of that in just about a few minutes, and then in the next 5 minutes to 10, Sanke, good evening to you, Mukibabawa Ajania K. And once again, we are back again into the program. My name is still Olayomi Koiki, and this is still...
This is Star Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up? All around the world.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
As we go into the government in exile of the Biafra, I'm asking the question again. Are we one? Can we unite? Is Nigeria going to ever unite? All these are the questions many people ask all the time, and sometimes we find it very difficult to get an answer to it. I am asking again tonight. As the Biafra continue to also ask for the right to self-determination, what should the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu do with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Every one of us know, and thank you so much, and we so apologize that the first half an hour, we didn't get the audio out on the MixLR to Gumala Abiodun and the rest of you. You also went to say unity is not possible in this lawless and diversity country like Nigeria. 300 indigenous ethnic groups. We are not tribes. Do not be fooled that we are tribes. So the question is, Nnamdi Kanu is still held by the lawless DSS. President Bola TINUBU is not saying anything. Or should we say that the judiciary failed to be established properly around Nnamdi Kanu? They've asked for his release, but yet the lawless DSS refused to release him. And this is why we're going to tell you a little bit more. According to Simon Ekpa, you must stop using Nigeria terrorist police to intimidate our people in Biafra land, especially those who think they have money and connection in Abuja. The police is used to intimidate Nigerians, but likewise those that are agitating for the right to self-determination. The Prime Minister government in exile, and let me say this clearly, they have the right to set up the government in exile if that is what they believe will facilitate and put out the engagement between them and the administration and international community. It's two different movements. Do not compare the Yoruba movement with the Biafra movement, but it is the same cause. And what cause? The right to self-determination. The right to self-determination is not a crime under any international law. You might disagree with the Prime Minister government in exile of Simon Ekpa. You might not like the Biafra. You might talk about them in any way, anyhow. But do you also know that they are not the only one asking to come out of this country called Nigeria? Before we go in the next few minutes as well, I'll be telling you what a member of parliament in UK under the Alba Party, that wants the right of the Scottish people to be respected. So sometimes I understand many Yoruba people do not feel comfortable with the Biafrans. But let me say this, if you're not happy with them, why not allow a referendum and let them decide whether they want to be part of Nigeria or not? You cannot force people that do not want to remain in the same country with you. We don't like them, they don't like us. We have tried to live together for 63 years, but a lot of marginalization, nepotism, hatred among these ethnic groups have been occurring. But today, as they continue, thank you so much, TJ Baba says, the people are doing the right thing. There's nothing wrong for you asking for self-determination. Like I said, if this administration continue to shy away and talk to them in a diplomatic way, even if it's going to take years before the total dissolution. But do not think that Simon Ekpa, the Prime Minister of the government in exile of the Biafra, will stop whatever he's doing right now. It will continue. And even if you decide to kidnap, that is if Finland will allow you, because Simon Ekpa is no longer using a Nigerian passport, just like we knew that Nnamdi Kanu was not using a Nigerian passport, but yet Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped by the former President Muhammadu Buhari and the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, and likewise rendition back to Nigeria. The then Fulani AGF, the Attorney General of the Federation, spoke in Hausa just to please the Northerners that they've accomplished the kidnap of Nnamdi Kanu. Now we have a new president. This president must start having discussion, dialogue. Dialogue is the best solution to any problem around the world. What we are seeing that is happening in the Middle East and around the globe today, if there is no peace around dialogue, there will be crisis. Shout out to our big mother, a grandmother, Mrs. Comfort Ologunja, and we welcome you into the broadcast on the Star Radio UK on a special note like this. I'll probably make it 2. And one more time. Keep the comment coming, I'll pick on that. Again, to look at, say, let one politician, young or old ones, tell us where we are united before. Let us stop deceiving ourselves. Many Nigerians are not looking into the case of the Biafrans. because most of you are thinking that the atrocity committed in the Southeast are committed by the Biafrans. And let me put it out there. Information says all the time that Uzodimma, the governor of Imo State, is aware of some of the killings. Even the former President Muhammadu Buhari was indicted by the organization that Buhari sponsored for the killings of the people in the Biafra land known as the Southeast of Nigeria today. Nobody wants a war like we saw during the genocide of the Civil War in Nigeria. Till date, Nigeria has not apologized or set up an inquiry to find out what took place during that three-year civil war that led to 5 million Igbo people dying. But today, as Mrs. Comfort Ologunja says, the country has fallen apart. Where will that unity come from? I understand a lot of you want us to be united, but the true question is, history cannot be forgotten. We know that the amalgamation was done on a fraudulent level. Nigeria was sold. Nigeria is just another business enterprise. I understand we've got independent. We are now controlling ourselves, but yours truly, we are not controlling ourselves. There is still the Western agenda on us. You can look up to what has happened in Niger. You can look up to what so many coup that has happened in the Western part, in Africa. But today, the Yoruba people say, we are no longer interested in Nigeria, just like the Biafra are saying as well. Again, let me remind you, the death that has taken place amongst the Biafrans today is because the federal government refused to sit with them. They are not terrorists. The real terrorists are the Boko Haram, the ISIS. And like Simon Ekpa said in one of his posts, that even Boko Haram, according to, again, remember that Professor Babagana Zulum, his motorcade was attacked, some police officers were killed some few weeks back. Simon Ekpa went on to say again, 6 hours ago, the reason they're rehabilitating Boko Haram and recruiting them into the Nigerian army is because Nigeria is already Islamic State. The new Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, the former Prime Minister of UK, says, and I quote, under a communique that they are having a meeting with Islamic State and Nigeria was included. I am asking the question, is Nigeria now an Islamic State? This is still 15 minutes before the end of the program, but I can assure you that I will be reading those headlines coming from the dailies in Nigeria in the next 5 minutes. Again, according to Sahara Reporter, 160,000 Boko Haram fighters have now repented. Wow. Repented how? Who repented them? How did they repent? So are we saying now that people that were killing Nigerians, destroying farmers' crops, creating damage to the economy in the Southeast, in the Southwest, in the Middle Belt, in the South-South, are we saying that we should forgive them? Is that how we should just forgive and move on? If the federal government can forgive and allow repentant Boko Haram, the question I'm asking is, what is the offense of the Biafrans asking for the same thing called right to self-determination? Why are we hypocrite individuals? Why do we hate the Igbos and then we start pointing finger and say, oh, the Igbos want to take out our land? If you think that they want to take your land, then allow them to go. Give them the referendum and allow them to exit Nigeria in a peaceful way, and then we can remain in Nigeria among ourselves. I've had a much time that people say, Wafe Bale, they want to take our land. What about the foreigners that are buying our land through our harbors in Osun State, in Ogun State, in Oyo State, in Kwara, in Kogi? The Chinese have now occupied much territory than the Igbos have occupied. We might not agree with some of their views against us, but the question is, it just shows that the hypocrisy that this country is united is a lie. Nigeria is not united and it will never unite, and that is the reason why we must sit on this roundtable discussion and resolve this internal problem before it escalates. If you refuse to allow a sit-down conversation, we will end up having an escalating issue. If Professor Babagana Zulum, the governor of Borno State, says, and I quote, and this is not a news from last year, This is a news today on Sahara Reporter. It says, and I quote, 160,000 Boko Haram fighters have now repented, but ISWAP weapons keep coming in. This is coming from the governor of Borno State. How do we have 160,000 repent, but we are still getting weapons? Because we have 1,000 porous border in Nigeria. Why are we living in denial? Why is it that we are finding it difficult to say it the way it is? We want to unite, but you do not want to even heal the wounds of what took place during the Biafra War. These are wounds that people will continue to talk about. We saw the starvation. You need to go and look at the videos and see how many children were killed innocently, just as we are seeing it today. Why is it happening? It's because we are all selfish individuals. We think about ourselves, but we do not think about the humanity. Just as the northern part of Nigeria is also being ravaged, we need to be saying it the way it is. We might not agree with their views because of the Islamic tone that they are using, because we know that the country is already a Sharia country. David Cameron told us that they've invited Islamic State and Nigeria was included. I am asking Nigeria today, when did Nigeria become an Islamic country or an Islamic state? This is Star Radio UK. Every Wednesday, you're going to join me here where we tell you what is going on the self-determination. And I'll take one more from Simon Ekpa before we tell you what is trending on the social media at 19 minutes past. Simon Ekpa went further to say again that the Boko Haram continue to affect the country. But again, the Nigerian police, the Inspector General of Police, Egbetokun, is crying out loud. Again, this is not Simon Ekpa saying it, but Simon Ekpa posted this on his timeline, and this is what he actually cropped from the Sahara Reporter. This was a news yesterday, the 28th day of the month of November 2023, posted at about 8 p.m. local time in Nigeria by Sahara Reporter. Nigerian army acted like Boko Haram terrorists by attacking Adamawa police headquarters. This is coming from Inspector General of Police Egbetokun. I'm asking again, is this the kind of country that you want us to continue to live together? Are you sure that there's no problem? Are you sure that we are united? How can the military think that because they have the means, they have the connection, they have the power, they've been doing this, we are no longer in the military era. We are now in a full democracy. Democracy means democracy. The military are meant to be in the barrack, but the Inspector General of Police says that they are acting like the Boko Haram terrorists by attacking the Adamawa headquarters police station. Nigeria is gone, but Nigerians are living in denial. They are waiting for the miracle. I'm not sure any miracle is coming anywhere. We need to talk about it, and we need to start talking before it is too late. So I'm going to leave Simon Ekpa like that, and we say, once again, kudos to the government in exile of the Biafrans for the great job they are doing to enlighten and educate many of their followers, and we hope that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be released as quickly as possible because he has not committed any offense. Now, what is trending? We pray that justice comes for many Nigerians, but we know that Mohbad case is still trending. The question is, will there ever be justice for Mohbad? I pray for Mohbad, and I hope justice as we ask for Mohbad. Let me remind you some of the names of those that I can remember. Remember that this year in January, a young man was killed by the Lagos State Police just because we went for a rally in Ojota. Should we say that justice for him? What about Jumoke Oyeleke? Jumoke Oyeleke was again killed by the Lagos State Police on the 1st of July 2021. Till date, there is no justice. Let me remind you, NSAS, many Nigerians even say that there was no killings during the NSAS. Wow. Do you know that 34 individuals are still in the prison as we speak today? Justice for those for the NSAS. What about Bamishe? I forget the full name now. I'm trying to get that name out quickly because it is important that we call it the same name as we have it. Anyowola. Bamishe Anyowola was killed in Lagos State BRT. Do you know that there's no justice here for Anyanwola Bamishe? Do you know that Bamishe had parents, a mother and a father? What about justice for Pelumi Onifade? Pelumi Onifade was also killed by a politician and the body was dumped at General Hospital in Ikorodu. How many justice should we start talking about? Nigeria is a crime scene, and I can only say, I pray Nigeria not happen to you. The time has traveled so fast, and I need to quickly tell you some of those headlines before we come out of the broadcast today. You've been watching and you've been listening. I'm also saying that many of us have been affected psychologically, being part of what is called Nigeria today, and it is still having a big impact on many lives. The unborn generation must not go through some of the things that some of us have gone through. Some of us might be privileged. People like myself have been very, very privileged all my life. But what about those that are not privileged? What about those that are suffering? What about those that have not been allowed to practice their religion? The question is, there must be justice for humanity, just as my brother Rugi Giant says. Shout out to every one of you that have joined me tonight again. As we come back next week, it's going to be the week in December, and I hope you're all preparing. Olawonyi Ibrahim said, day by day, Nigeria is sinking. Nigeria is sinking, and it's going to sink, but we don't want it to sink in a way that is going to take every one of us down. We must not allow Nigeria to pull us down. We must sit on the round table and talk about it. Do not be deceived by your politicians that country is working. Nigeria is not working. It is sitting on a ticking time bomb. And we do not want the bomb to explode on any one of you. That is why some of us from outside the country, where we can communicate, we know that some of what we are saying here cannot be said in Nigeria, and that is why we are the voice of the voiceless. My name again is Olami Koiki, and you've been watching and listening because we have the technology to listen, we have the technology to watch us, which is different from the analog NTA has been using. I was told NTA is now going to be digital. God bless TINUBU. NTA go digital. What an interesting time to be alive. So I'm going to give us quickly some of the headlines that I have this morning coming from Nigeria. The Daily Times says, non-indigenous students flee federal varsity in Zamfara sources. Why? What is going on? Why are the students fleeing Zamfara state? Interesting. Appeal court verdict is also Mufwang wax spiritual. Unemployment, Kalu moves bills for National Apprentice Scheme. Very good one, if only it can be, it can be amended. Olubadan demand constitutional role for traditional rulers in Nigeria. We're going to talk about this on my program. Very interesting. Olubadan Babawa demand constitutional role for traditional rulers in Nigeria, says Yoruba Obas. 1 minute, I need to save this because we're going to talk about that. Yoruba Obas to convey on Ibadan today. Entertain Solati Joy. How can an Oba have to ask for a permission to travel from the local government chairman? Interesting days ahead and weeks. Again, the Guardian, banks brace up for new monetary policy conduct regulation as Cardoso, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, returns CBN to traditional monetary policy regime. After the Kogi election, it looks like Dino Malaye have not been able to release a song. Interesting time ahead. Once again, my name is Olami Koiki. We are 4 minutes away. Bad road worsen food inflation. Many farmers cry every day because they cannot move their crop from their farm into the consumer that will buy it. I was even told by somebody on Twitter that without the north, we cannot feed ourselves. And I'm saying, well, the northern part that have created more terrorists have made sure that Yorubas and the Igbos and the Middle Belt and the Nigerians suffer because you cannot continue to move your cow and disturb another farmer business. Cattle ranching should have been operating. There should not be any reason why you're using your own business to transfer into another man's business and disturb us. So that again, in 3 minutes, I'll be handing over back to my producer, Mr. Frank David and Mr. Archie. Sarah, according to the metrics, raises alarm, reveals why World Bank must suspend loans to Nigeria. We told you about the loan. $8.4 billion is what President Bola TINUBU is going to be borrowing. Another 100 million euro. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it says agriculture, medical, water, and security. I hope this money will not be squandered just like Buhari did at the time. 2 minutes before we go, Oba of Benin to Nigeria, TINUBU presidency ordained by God. Again, why are these Oba telling us that a president was ordained by God, just as we were told that Buhari was ordained by God? The question is TINUBU ordained by God, or are we just living in denial? Once again, Ogunmola Abiodun say, so that Biafran woto go reach in fast. TINUBU should still hold on to Mazinam the Kanu so that the Biafra woto go reach in fast. Baba Kende says, àwọn òṣèlú Nàìjíríà àti àwọn UK àti America àti Europe ní Boko Haram nípa àwa ní Nàìjíríà o. Mr. Peter Pan, thank you so much. Says 24/7 KOIKIMEDIA, I salute you. All hail Biafrans, all hail Biafrans. And like I say, you got our support right on Star Radio UK, and you got your support on the sister broadcast on KOIKIMEDIA. As I'm going to be leaving you in the hands of Aki, I say thank you so much to everyone that have joined me again tonight. I'll be back same time next week, God willing, at 6 p.m. Make sure you tune in. Remember to share it as well, Tokyo 778. And likewise, I was almost going to say this is Boko Haram, but I saw Boko Inis. I hope it's not Boko Haram. Thank you so much. Also, Mrs. Fati 11 on the Instagram as well. And every single one of you that I've not mentioned, I would like to say shout out to you all. We appreciate you for joining us, and we hope that this time next week, you'll be joining me again. I will now say, ó dàárọ̀ láti ibi tí a wà yìí tó bá tún di ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ kẹ́ pàdé wa. Tomorrow, thank you so much. Before we go, I just saw that coming through. Kunle Bakers, my big brother there, and I hope it is not too cold in Canada. I pray for you. I love you. We appreciate you, just like we love Isidora. We love every single one of you that stay tuned. There's so many things happening in this social media space. So for every time you sit with us, we must say thank you so much. And this is for you, especially every one of you. And as I leave you again tonight, I say thank you so much for supporting us, and I'll be back. Thank you so much, Mercy Child, for also the diamond on the TikTok. Rugi Giant, thank you so much. Congratulations to every one of us. Like I said, this is how far we go, and I'll now hand over now to my producer, Mr. Archie. Odaro, bye for now. Good night.
This is Star Radio UK. In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to start shutting down everything. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. We couldn't have enjoyed this before we put it down. Great Yoruba nation. Thank you so much. So, thank you so much, everyone. Love you all. And I got to go now. Got a long journey back home. I'm going to start that journey now. Thank you so much. Udaro. Bye for now. I hope everyone enjoyed the program, and thank you so much to the back YouTube channel. I'm going to come and stop that as well. So let us say thank you, everyone. And then I think we're going to play this now. Let me stop that before I play any music. Come on, capture more programs. Thank you so much, everyone. And it is the finest African. Shegon Babawa Salami. Thank you. And I hope everyone enjoy this program. I'm on to share iPad. It kept shutting down itself. Thank you so much, Kunle Bakers. Udaro. Okoya Folaya Mama Sheri comment a lot. Thank you so much. And I hope you all enjoy the program. You know, this is what we do every Wednesday. You know, we want the same thing in Nigeria, but unfortunately, people now don't look in even Nigeria. They have to use generator. It's not funny at all. So thank you so much. Udaro. I love you all. Kunle Bakers, Aziz, Easy, and the rest of you. Shegun Ono, Bimileke, my mom, every single one of you, GR1, to my family, to my children. Good night.